I'm Sean Fennessey.
I'm Amanda Dobbins.
And this is the Big Picture, a conversation show about presidents. CR is here, of course, and joining the show for a very special presidential movie draft. The presidents of Blank Check, David Sims and Griffin Newman. Hi, boys.
Hello.
I think we are co-presidents.
I think we're both presidents. Yes, right. I was about to say.
If one of you had to be Veep, though, who would it be?
Yeah, who's Veep and who's president? Uh-oh. Dun, dun, dun.
I think you're the Veep. Yeah.
But also in what universe, you know? What's the power dynamic of the president and the Veep?
Oh, sure.
And what governmental structure?
Are you like the young, hungry Veep trying to overtake me?
No, I'm the Veep, but I'm the Cheney.
You're the power behind the scenes?
Yeah.
And I'm the dopey face?
I let you come out and give the speeches.
Okay.
Because I do Nixon fingers for George W. Bush.
Okay, this is good. So this is another thing to keep in mind. We are recording in the past for the future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just looked at the calendar. I believe that this podcast is being released on Election Day.
That is the plan.
2024.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
So we're not there yet. And just to go ahead and, give a caveat, anything that may have happened to Dick Cheney in the last 2 months, Griffin has no idea.
Are you planning to assassinate him?
Who can say?
Plausible deniability. Let's create an alibi here that none of us know what will happen to Dick Cheney in the next 2 months, and we have no designs. We recorded an episode recently that I think won't come out until December.
Yeah.
I mean, I say recently. It was 2 or 3 months ago now, in which we talk about imagining the episode being released in a reality in which Joe Biden has been reelected.
It could happen. You don't know.
Yeah.
It's not off the table at this exact moment.
Anything
so I thought
could happen.
That's good.
Twists and turns.
Let's start this conversation where I think everyone wants us to start, which is I'd like each of you to tell me who you're voting for and why. Griffin, you go first.
Right. So just to be clear, we're recording this episode in the past. I am still RFK all the way.
So we're drafting a little bit differently this year. We're drafting not movies, but movie presidents.
Yeah.
That is to say, we're drafting characters, we're drafting figures from history, and in some cases, both. This is going to be a very interesting draft.
Sure.
Because when I came up with this idea, I was like, well, there are clearly 500 eligible candidates.
And there's like 16.
There's not that many movie presidents. I am kind of shocked how few there are. Chris, how are you feeling about this subject?
Well, I'm a big unitary and executive theory guy, so this is really a home game for me.
Yep.
Chris Scalia Ryan, they call you.
I'm pretty annoyed. I think that you could have made some allowances for television. If we could have brought in the presidents from the series 24.
This was my wife's first response last night. I said, who's your favorite movie president? And she said Dennis Haysbert from 24. I was like, that's a fucking TV show,
That's
Eileen.
also, I mean, respectfully, the second best.
Did you
That's not the right answer.
David Palmer's brother also served as president and died of a brain hemorrhage?
Wait,
on the show?
On the series?
Yes.
I didn't get that far into the series. Wait, he was elected after his brother?
I don't know if he was elected or if he took over.
Was he kind of a Jeb Bush? What was the situation there?
He was elected. He was elected. It's season 6 that he's been elected. I just want to say this. David Palmer is a terrible president.
Well, hold on.
He's so bad.
Let's be clear. You're judging his entire track record based on only a handful of days.
It's just one day.
You're full to Kamala, let's be clear.
Let's be clear.
Prices are up, and David Palmer was a president for 4 whole years, and you've only seen one day, but it's true. He's only president in season 2.
He's only president in season 2?
Season 1, he's a candidate. Season 2, he's the president. Season 3, he's not the president anymore, right? Isn't that how it goes?
Yeah.
He gets assassinated at some point.
One day's a
Does his
rounding
wife
error.
kill him?
What's your
I can't remember,
problem,
but
man?
I was going to
All
say President Allison Taylor, Cherry Jones's character in 24. I was always a big fan of her.
Oh, she was very good.
And she broke the glass ceiling.
Wait, so he was only president for a day?
Well, I mean, we only see him as president for one day.
No, I
He's
know,
engulfed
but if he
in
gets
scandal.
They just don't show the other, 1,200 days
Did you
from
ever
his
watch
term.
24?
I watched part of the first season, but I did not keep up with the chronology.
Every president in 24, their one move is let me drag out Jack Bauer, international war criminal, basically, this guy, and just send him after whatever the problem is now. Like, they're not good people. I love 24. I'm just saying.
If I were running for president in the world of 24, my campaign would be, I do not have Jack Bauer's number.
Yeah.
I promise you, I lack the ability to call him in.
I don't think that's going to work in this political environment, Griffin. I think
That's true.
what the world wants is something different. Last time you guys drafted on the show, we drafted movie lawyers. That was an interesting experience.
Well, did we draft
lawyer
lawyers?
movies.
And then we had one category where we were like, I want this person to represent me.
Yes, that's right. That was a successful draft. Griffin, I believe you won that draft. And
Where was
I
that
went
posted?
turbo mode. I spent like 6 months prepping and was very serious and did win. But I've taken a very different approach to this draft.
Okay.
Okay,
Well-
I take it back. He's also president in season 3, so it's 2 days.
Okay, so it's 2 days. That's good.
Wait, let's go back. Was your win, was it an electoral college win or a popular vote?
It was both. It was both.
It was both. Okay,
That's
you
great.
carried
It was a
Pennsylvania
sweep.
and
That's
Michigan.
great.
It was an honest sweep.
That's good.
Did you get Nebraska's 2nd district?
Mm-hmm.
How are you feeling about Pennsylvania?
In September,
Yeah. Well, I mean, forever. but
I think Philadelphia is gonna go super blue, and I'm very hopeful for Kamala Harris's prospects there.
you are.
Yeah,
Are you going to do any local
door
work?
door knocking.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question. I did it for Obama back
Yeah.
in 2008,
And then
and I lost my scarf, and I was like, I had a scarf that I really liked,
Yeah.
and I left it somewhere in
It's
Northeast
hard to
Philly.
believe they skipped Gen X in terms of leadership,
And then I'm
given
gonna
that
come.
kind of
Maybe I'll
canvassing.
come back in 2024,
Yeah.
and that scarf the scarf of democracy will still be
wow,
there.
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Emotionally vivid scarf. Yeah.
Are you guys concerned about this draft? Are you excited about it? How are you feeling?
I had the same reaction as you. Initially, yeah, I think as you were trying to set up, we were going to do decades. And I was like, let me make my little list. And it feels like they only really started making movies about presidents in the 90s. Before then, they didn't really do it that much.
There's
Why?
peaks and
Well,
valleys.
I agree.
I mean,
Why?
But
That's
it's
not-
interesting because
Technically true. It's just that they didn't make that many. So to
Well,
to
they make
have
that,
They
six
make
per-
fictional ones.
Which are those fictional presidents
like the
are up.
30s and the 40s. And there are like 40,000 movies from like the 40s about
that's what I was
Lincoln
going to say.
and
Right. Like
Ulysses S.
when
Grant.
yeah.
You know,
Woodrow Wilson.
When we had
Sure.
it broken into decades, it was starting with 50s and 60s, and I found
Right.
such an abundance of 30s and 40s movies, and then 50s and 60s becomes a dead zone.
That's right.
70s is up, 80s is down, 90s is way up.
90s is crazy.
Like the peaks and valleys are bizarre of both real life depictions of historical presidents in film and fictional presidents.
like Chris said, then it became the world of TV is littered with fictional then it became like the de jure thing post West Wing. I
That's
think was just to have a nice stock character actor play your president. That's fun. Get your Tony Goldwyn. Come on, name somebody.
Teo Leone.
there were
Teo
so
Leone.
many
Oh,
movies
yeah.
about Teddy Roosevelt in the 30s and 40s. Like 20.
Well,
You'll have a
he
chance to
was
draft all of them
rambunctious.
today.
You should trade all of your picks for 20 Teddy Roosevelt.
There was a part of me, and
bold
perhaps I'm
buy.
showing my hand a little early here, where I was like, could I get 6 Richard Nixons? Could I get Nixon in every category?
Oh, okay. So this is
Nixon
why.
is your strongest candidate for that.
So just as like a point of just for like the rules here, presidents can be drafted multiple times.
Yes.
The film can only be drafted once.
That is exactly correct. And that will make more sense when we explain the categories. Do you think I should explain it now, or should
Yeah,
we keep
go
riffing
ahead.
a little bit? Okay,
Yeah.
so the 6 categories, as David said, we were originally going to do decades, which I thought was going to make this really easy. And in fact, it was really, really hard to strategize for 50s and 60s and even 70s and 80s. So we shifted back to some regular, traditional big picture draft categories and some new ones. So the first ones, we have drama and comedy. And there was an abundance of dramas and comedies, either featuring or about presidents. The third category is biopic. So this is, of course, a biographical film about a real person. Then the fourth is Oscar nominee. There's a lot of correlation between 3 and 4. So we got to keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
The fifth is VP and cabinet. A very good recommendation. I think, was it Chris? Did you make that recommendation?
did.
Very good idea. So we have the vice presidents are also available, as are the secretaries of state, agriculture, transportation. CR's got
All
a Pete
those guys.
Buttigieg in his back
Right.
pocket. And wild card, of course, which means anything is eligible. And as with our Pitt and Clooney draft, a lot of stuff's going to get dumped into wild card, I think. It makes it easier to
Yeah.
navigate.
I mean, I guess we were having some initial conversations about the boundaries of the categories, which, full disclosure, we changed yesterday around 2 p.m. PST. So that will also factor into everyone's
a little bit of
preparation.
Sean's October surprise.
Yeah, that's okay. And so we decided that we should ask the questions and have the debates on mic.
Yes.
So
For the record, I did not do this to fuck with anybody. I
No,
just
no,
didn't have
no.
enough time to realize that this wasn't going to work.
So I guess my first question would be, is action or thriller counting as drama?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
I think
I've been
think
putting
so
those
as
in
well.
that bucket.
I have as well. Okay,
Yes.
so that helps with
Action and thriller fits into the drama bucket.
Number two.
Oh, sure, Amanda.
Yeah, no. So my number 2 question. So wild card is president only?
Good question. I'll tell you what, for the sake of good podcasting, we can open it up to VP and cabinet as well if you'd like.
Okay.
I think so.
Well, there's another question within that. What about candidate?
I thought about making the category candidate. Originally, when I was doing the decades, I had 40s through 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and 2020s, and wild card candidate as the final category.
But you didn't.
Well, I thought it would just be easier because I was flummoxed by how few films there were. But if you want to put a candidate for president
Right.
into that category, I think
Into wild card?
I think that's
Or
fine.
into cabinet?
Into wild card.
Okay.
I think
I have
that's
a
a fun
sort of-
idea.
A question on top of that. If the movie is mostly about a campaign, but it ends with them winning, can we call them presidents and
Yes,
or whatever?
absolutely.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
a great question.
If they
Because there's a few
Okay.
movies like that, you know?
If they are active or former presidents, they are absolutely eligible in this film.
Right.
For this.
So then here's my huge question. Do they have to be elected president of the United States?
We settled on that because we were talking about fearless leader draft for a while.
That's right.
Sure.
You wanted to get Slobodan Milosevic in there, and we were like, Chris, this is not the time to relitigate that
You're
conflict.
such a dick.
Griffin, I think that the president can be eligible if you, Griffin, without Googling, are also able to explain the governmental and or parliamentary structure of the country in question.
Okay.
Okay.
That's a good
What if
good
it's
note.
not a here's my one follow-up to that.
What's
Yeah.
the movie you're thinking of? You don't
I
want
don't
to
wanna
say.
spoil it.
Okay.
What if it isn't a country, but someone is elected president?
Like on a planet?
Well,
I'm going to be abstract about this.
No, it can't be like president of the PTA.
Is this like
It-
Cohagen on Mars? Like,
I think it has to resemble American society.
Okay.
So even if
Yeah.
it is dramatically in the future, and even
Uh-huh.
if it is interplanetary, it
Uh-huh.
needs to be derived from our democratic republic.
okay.
Does
Sure,
that make
these are
sense?
good delineations. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, here's my final question for everybody, because I didn't really make a decision on this. And I'll use the movie as an example. Is young Mr. Lincoln eligible in a draft like
I
this?
think if the person winds up ever being president,
yeah,
they are
then it's
eligible.
just
Okay, so they don't have to be
situation.
president in the movie
Right.
or
I don't
have,
think
because
I
it-
had that
okay.
on my list.
Ask yourself this. Would they have made young Mr. Lincoln if old Mr. Lincoln had never been president?
Great question.
No.
If you start using that methodology for all movie drafts, things are going to get crazy. Like if you're like, would this have happened if that had not
I
happened?
actually, to their point, gave serious consideration to a film and tried to understand the political headwinds of the fictional world this film is built in
Uh-huh.
to decide whether this candidate would be the presumptive president, like elect, like whether they would
Wow.
have beaten their
I
Republican
see.
opponent.
Was that you thinking about Lincoln and Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure? How does
Let's
he
not
fit
just
in
go
our
to
modern
burning
times?
titles here.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Sorry,
are
sorry,
we're burning
We're burning
content.
We're burning energy. So you guys want to start drafting?
Yeah,
You have
yeah,
no
do
other
it,
riffs?
please.
No? Amanda, no riffs?
Should we share the actual day that we're recording this on?
September 10th.
Which
September
is
10th, yeah.
is we are recording this like 5 hours
Pre-debate.
before the debate.
Are you going to watch
So-
the debate tonight?
I don't think so. It conflicts with bedtime a little, and also like I just don't need to hear
I didn't
him,
think I was
you
going
know?
to, but then I remembered how much fun we had the first Biden-Trump night when you started texting. You know?
When he was like, shut up. That was an incredible moment when Joe Biden literally told Donald Trump, shut up on a debate stage.
Yeah.
You mean last go round?
Yeah.
The
Yes.
2020 debate?
Yes.
No,
sorry.
Because I remember for
Oh.
this joke, I was like, I'm not watching it. The
Same.
Biden debate. I went out and I had a great dinner.
Right.
Yeah.
Truly forgot it was happening.
I saw Little Shop of Horrors off Broadway.
Wow.
Turned on my phone, got a deluge of horrendous text.
I started walking home and I saw it through the TV screen. It was like a ghost like jumping out at me. It was
Yeah.
horrifying to
Yeah.
even see it through a window. Like
but I just it's
still never seen it.
the last one
Mhm.
was consequential. Ultimately.
was.
That debate?
So
Yeah.
That's true.
I'm just putting this as like a data point for the future, like our version of the time capsule.
I tell you, it'd be
who
really
can say?
funny if during this debate, we realized also Kamala should be taken off the ticket and she was replaced. Like, that's in play. You never know. I think the good news is I've spoken to the campaigns and they have agreed to include the audio at the end of this draft from the debate. So if you missed it, you can re-listen.
That would actually do numbers.
Of course. I mean, yeah, that's what JMO is all about, Chris. Okay, so we're going to go to our draft order before we can start making our picks. Okay, Bob, let's figure out this draft order.
Got the Top Gun hat here. Is this the first time you guys are seeing it?
In person.
The Top Gun hat?
Very nice.
I usually don't bring it out for
Technically,
5 people drafts.
Pete Mitchell reported to a president.
That's true.
Technically, he didn't always follow those rules,
At
though.
the cabinet level, though?
Yeah.
TBD.
Did we ever figure out what administration that was operating during? The Top Gun program?
That's a Reagan situation
Okay,
where I
alright,
think we're all
alright.
pretty clear.
Oh, yeah.
So I
in
think
the
first
real
overall
world.
will be Sean Fennessey.
Oh, Jesus
Oh, yeah.
You
Christ.
see the Scrabble tile right here.
Jiminy Cricket.
I don't know what to do with it. I'll just throw it.
I'm allowed to
Oh,
say fuck,
I like
right?
it, Bob.
I don't know where to put it, you know?
You just
It's
threw
first
it?
time in the
Yeah,
studio.
I love it. It's like confetti.
Sean again.
Okay.
Toss
so
that out.
Okay, I'll take the
useless.
first 2 picks. Excellent.
N is for Griffin Newman because
Hey.
I forgot to bring G's. So
Okay.
N is going to be for
I'll
Griffin.
take it.
Okay.
Amanda Dobbins will
Okay.
be third.
All right. So it's gonna be an interesting field
Yeah.
for me.
For old Davy Sims.
Me and Chris.
And then Chris will be fourth, which means David, you
Okay.
are on
Okay.
the turnip.
I
I'm on
think-
the turn.
The turn is a nice place for.
I would
I think
much
the turn
rather
is
be
to be.
David than myself.
Yeah.
I think
for a
there's,
lot of
there's
reasons.
just some pressure on the turn.
Mm.
You really want to, you really want to hit a triple.
First
Like,
is
just
not
sort of-
good here. Not
First
good.
is
No.
tough.
It's
This
not.
is not. This is 2 in a row now that I am not really do not want to be in first. Okay, very well. Well, thanks so
This
much,
is-
Bobby.
This is 2 in a row in the recording timeline.
Correct.
But not in the.
Yes, of the 14 drafts we've recorded in the
What
last 2
happened
weeks.
in the October draft?
We went to the year 1996.
That was
Damn.
that was civil, right?
It was civil. It got
Yeah.
a
What
little
was first
weird.
pick? Wait, let me guess.
In 96.
Well, we were like, oh my God, 96 is actually a great year for film.
right.
Yeah, 96 rocks.
Yeah.
But what
96 was
first
awesome.
pick?
I have no idea why we waited so long.
Jerry Maguire?
I
Yes,
think it was.
It was.
Yeah.
That
Did
was
I
Sean,
get that?
yeah,
I
Sean.
did.
So you've had first
I've-
pick 3
3
in a
times.
row. The last podcast that we the last draft that we recorded, that aired in September, was a low emotional moment, for Sean and thus for everyone.
Wait, which one was
Um,
that?
The Brad and George.
Oh, that was you just did that. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But
But
that
people,
that didn't air yet.
Mm.
yes, but when this is airing,
I see.
Yes.
Okay.
it will have aired.
Yeah.
Wait, does Sean melt down or what happens?
More of a shutdown.
Yeah. I don't know if you
Just
guys
over.
remember
A government
the-
shutdown?
Do you guys remember the Avengers Infinity War incident
Of course I do, very, very fondly.
It was
I think it was
this-
Endgame, not Infinity War.
It was Endgame.
Yeah.
Oh,
it was
it was?
Endgame.
Oh, it was?
It was Endgame.
I
yeah.
think you
Yeah.
cried a little about Infinity War too.
I've never cried on this podcast,
Oh.
so that didn't happen.
Anyway, it was a similar kind of take your ball and go home situation. But
How
fairly
could you be crying?
but fairly early in the process.
I sat right in this chair and I made all my picks. Okay, we've got our order. Just to reiterate, I'm going to do the categories one more time for everybody. This is an opportunity for me to vamp before I have to make the first overall pick. The categories are drama, which also includes action movies and thrillers and the like. We've got comedy, we've got biopic, we've got Oscar nominee, we've got VPN cabinet, and we've also got wild card, which will include candidates from films.
And if I can just offer some salient thought, the real comedy is whatever's happening at Congress any given day. Thank you.
This is the kind of righteous insight that you can find on the Blank Check
That's straight out of
podcast.
Hey, I'm just trying to get on JMO. This is my audition.
We're always accepting new guests, David. Okay. I have had a lot of luck fucking up all of my drafts with the first overall pick.
But there's nothing
recently,
anybody
so
can do to upset you in this, right?
I'm not going to have as emotional a relationship to it as I've had the previous couple, but I expect to still blow this somehow. Okay. I think this is the most chalk but good pick I can make.
Okay.
It's not as fun as where some of you guys will go because I do it. But very simply, an Oscar nominee, I will take Daniel Day-Lewis in Lincoln,
I think that
where he
Is it-
portrays
that's
Abraham
defensible.
Lincoln.
you can go to the board and you can say, with the information that I had, this was the best choice that I
He
could
was
make.
not only the nominee that year, he was the winner. This was his second Academy Award.
His third.
His third Academy Award. Jesus. He's righteous in this movie. Chris has been known to impersonate him. I don't know.
No!
Oh, so good.
Gain a man's power.
I will also say strategically, it is wise to take Lincoln early because there are a lot of cabinet members
Yeah.
in there. And so that is a situation where you could see yourself just like scanning IMDb, being like, okay, so who was the Secretary of
Crossed my mind.
Defense?
Strathairn was lurking there. It's true.
Who took over for Lincoln when he got shot?
Andrew Johnson.
Johnson.
Absolute dingus.
Yeah, he was really a cool president too. Definitely did a good job. You want to learn more about Johnson?
Andrew Johnson? No, not really.
You don't want to.
No.
You haven't listened to my solo JMO
Where
episode
are
about
you
Johnson?
on your like dad president history journey? Are you still mostly like World War II focused?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So FDR.
It's very focused on the North Africa campaign.
Oh.
David, what about you? You're in deep dad territory. Like, what
Huge.
are you?
Yep.
Are you becoming an increasing history buff?
I'm a huge history buff. I'm a big president's dork. I can do them all in order. It's really sick.
Okay, go ahead.
You're kind of a slut for U.S. presidents,
I
aren't you?
kind of
In a
am.
certain way.
The whole misbegotten enterprise of America is interesting to me. I'm always reading books about it, and it started in the pandemic, so it started actually pre fatherhood for me. But maybe it was just boredom in the pandemic. I read the whole Robert Caro, Lyndon Johnson volumes, all those. I read the Schlesinger FDR books. Now I'm just deep now. If anyone wants to recommend a president book to me, I'm ready.
One could almost argue that you started reading those books and then realized I need
It's
to
time
have
to
a
be a
child
parent.
soon so
Justify
I
this.
can own this dad-ass behavior.
David, have you read the one that is about some president basically got assassinated or was killed by sepsis? Do you know what I'm talking
sure.
about? Do you know
James
what
A.
book this is?
Garfield. Yep.
Okay, sure. And do you know this book?
I do know the book.
Oh, this
and
is the one that
my-
Benioff and Weiss are doing.
Yeah.
right?
It's
Yes,
Juliet.
my
It's-
friend Mike Makowski is making a show
yes.
for Netflix
Oh,
about it.
From Bad
Yeah.
Education, the writer of Bad
Yes.
Education. Yeah, he's great.
That Benioff and Weiss are producing. I'm
It
very
was
excited for
Michael
it.
recommended
Shannon
to me
and,
both by
Matthew McFadden.
Juliet Littman and my father-in-law. So that's the real.
Where are you at on sepsis these days? Pro? Con?
I'm glad they learned about it. Sorry to James Garfield.
Well, recently at a large gathering of the Atlantic's employees, I work at the Atlantic.
Humble brag.
Editor-in-chief Jeffrey Goldberg just was like jokingly like, we've been like doing this and like, who knows who the president was in 1882 when we were writing that. And I just said, Chester A. Arthur. And he stopped and he was like, really? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, how do you
That's
know
kind of
that?
alarming
And I was
that
like,
that
I don't
happened.
I'm a
know.
bit concerned to be drafting against you
Yeah.
in this episode, to be honest.
Why
David.
is
Well,
why do
because
you
Garfield
know?
was shot in 81. So I was like, it's Chester A. Arthur.
Okay, I believe Griffin has the second pick. Is that correct?
Yes.
Lincoln Rules, by the way. It's like the best movie about a president ever.
Such an
I
awesome
think.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About a real president, at least.
I'm trying to game this out properly. I'm going to.
It's also fun. People think that movie's boring, but it's fun.
No, that movie's fun.
Yeah.
I totally agree. It's a chamber drama.
Mhm.
People moving in and out of rooms, yelling at each
Who
other.
is Tommy Lee Jones in that movie?
He's Thaddeus Stevens,
Yeah, he's
the
the
radical
guy who
Republican.
pushes the amendment through Congress.
Right.
Sort of the Matt Gaetz of that era.
Oh, good.
No, he was like the AOC of that
He's
era.
like Chuck Schumer. Yeah.
I am going to, in the category of drama, draft the movie Failsafe.
Oh, I love that movie.
Okay.
It feels like a little bit of a. I felt like there might be a feeding frenzy for that later on, so I want to use an early slot to get that.
High on
And that's
my
your
list.
guy, Sidney L.
My big man Lumat. You dragged us on Maine in an episode some months ago, Sean, for the fact that neither of us had seen Failsafe before.
You dragged yourselves when you revealed that you hadn't seen
This is
it.
true. This is true.
Yeah, I watched it for
we
this.
both corrected, filled the blind spot for this. That thing is fucking heater. It's unbelievable.
Incredible movie. Yeah. We
It's
just
so
did a
good.
Sydney episode. Yeah. Well, we talked about it because we did Dr. Strangelove together.
Yes,
And that
right.
that was a movie that preceded Strangelove and has,
right.
has
It's
this
the-
incredible foresight about what would happen in a circumstance like that. And the
Although
president
the
is played by who, Griffin?
Henry Fonda,
He's
who is
amazing.
incredible in this. I want to say it might just be the best presidential performance I have seen in terms of 98% of his Screen time in this movie is confined to one room where Larry Hagman's the only other actor that he gets to interact with face to face.
Hagman very understated.
He's so good in it.
He doesn't have a big 10-gallon hat on or anything.
No, it's very confusing. No one shoots him. There's no confusion over who shot him. But he's mostly stuck in this sort of like bunker war room in a high intensity situation. Most of his performance plays out basically in close to real time. And yet within this, you get a pretty complete arc of everything that is sort of usually embodied in a president. You start out with him going down this elevator and he's got this sort of swagger. He's in a bit of a crisis, but he's trying to sort of confidence his way through it and toss off jokes. And then you see him really kind of lock into playing the role and watch the whole cycle of him thinking he has or is losing control of the situation. He makes, I would say, a pretty dramatic decision.
He sure does.
Late in the film that I will not spoil for listeners, that I almost was like, does it feel wrong to draft him when he did something that I would personally be slightly terrified by? But I also think there is a sense of morality to his weird logic of it's basically this very strategic self-immolation of him being like, the buck stops here. There's maybe a problem with our entire political system globally that I need to take account for. And he plays it incredibly well.
Just to be clear now, the decision is yours. You own it. And we all understand that you would make the same decision
Correct.
In office.
Absolutely.
Congratulations.
But I like that he's a radical creative thinker. He's making the choices no one else would.
I don't think Griffin could get elected president. There's 9 years of blank check audio out there.
Can I ask a point of order? I wish I had a gavel right now.
Yes.
So the same movie cannot be picked twice, but the same actor
Yeah, this
can be.
Not only that, but
Yeah.
this actor is eligible for a movie from the same year as Failsafe.
Henry Fonda
in
is.
which he pursued office. That's how Henry Fonda, he had that
this is
presidential
tough.
energy.
You know, sometimes
also-
you provide a list where you're like, here are all the movies from this year, or here's all of our favorite.
Oh, are you saying you appreciate that?
I certainly appreciate that,
Oh.
but this will be a test of our research abilities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And thinking big.
I made a list, but then I felt like I was having a hard time remembering. I couldn't do something that I felt was definitive.
Yeah.
Because there's so many movies where the president shows up for 5 minutes, and those presidents are eligible in this draft. You know what I mean? Like side characters, some of the funniest or most compelling presidential characters are not the leads of the movies that'll be drafted today. So we shall see. Remind me who has the third pick. Do you have Amanda?
It's me.
Okay. Amanda, you're up.
Yes. This was also going to be my first pick, so I feel very confident about it. Some might not agree with the category, but it's the strategy that I've devised. So in Oscar nominee,
I knew this is a great pick by you.
I'm going to take Kevin Kline as Dave.
I did not
God damn
expect
it.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a big one.
As
pick.
This was a 50-50 for me on what I used
Very
my
high on my
first
list
pick
as well.
for,
Yeah.
and you got the better of me here,
Nominated
Amanda.
for screenplay.
nominated for screenplay. This is one of my favorite movies as a child. Had it on VHS, and also, he's maybe the best president or one of them in the.
So here's my question to you.
Yeah.
Are you taking Dave or are you taking Bill Mitchell? Because
I'm
Dave is
taking-
not the president.
I'm taking acting president.
He is.
I'm taking
De
acting
facto.
president.
He's never sworn in.
Dave was not
I'm
elected.
taking him fixing the fucking budget
By
and
the-
saving the shelter. Okay.
You could
With
pick
Charles
Grodin as a
he's
sort
doing
of.
the
I
numbers.
pre-programmed this dispute because I knew you were going to take this
no,
movie.
No, but I knew also that I was like, he is acting as president. Like, we didn't set any parameters on like the legality of the presidency, right? He is definitely acting as president and he saves that shelter. There was no way I was going to make a case for Charles Grodin as like an acting cabinet member, but you could, also
Secretary
do
of
that.
Commerce. Sure. Yeah.
I thought you might.
Yeah.
Kingsley's good in that.
I
He's
was
the
going to
VP.
say, I
He
had
is.
half a
Yeah.
mind
He's
to
on my
draft
list.
in VP category Nance. Yeah.
Nance is gone now.
Yeah.
Nance holding the African mask. That's incredible stuff. That's a great movie.
Langella just yelling at everyone all the time. Really good stuff.
Is he chief of staff?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Okay.
he's propping up the, coma
So-
president.
Should I ask about the shower scene or should we move on?
I think we need to talk about
Let's
it.
talk about it.
It's the
Yeah.
one we all say.
This is my favorite
This has come up on Blank
president
Check
movie as
many
well.
times.
Yeah.
Yes. And we've discussed this a lot, and people are confused when we bring it up on mic. Dave, do you want to lead this discourse?
There's the scene where he's in the shower.
Yeah.
Sigourney Weaver, his wife, comes
he keeps
in.
himself so clean. Yeah, I know the song.
Absolutely.
Sorry, my voice isn't really in right now.
She's mad at him because he's, Bill Mitchell was such a jerk.
And then she sees his dick and she's like, oh, interesting, but should she be able to recognize his dick? We talked about this on Rewatchables, too.
She registers surprise, but
she's talking, her eyes dart down. Sigourney, queen of underplaying, barely makes a moment out of it. And then he has a moment where he looks down and then looks back up at her. And you see him doing the math of, is my penis different than her husband's?
Yeah.
And did she recognize something?
Right. The question of the scene, the ambiguity of the scene, which is so rich and it's such a great, literary moment is, does he have an identical dick just like the identical face?
Right.
Or has she forgotten this man's penis because she hates him so much?
She's got hog blindness at that point.
I think that's what it is. But it's but also on her face, she's like, that's not how I remember it, but maybe I'm not remembering.
I haven't seen it so long.
Is it her going?
I have so much hatred for him that I can't remember what's good about this penis.
Is she remembering? Is she realizing he's an imposter, or just seeing a new side of him through the dick?
So watching Dave,
it's just a great scene
for the 20th time. I picked up on something later in the movie. Which is when he asks her, when did you figure out? When she catches him, right? And says, hi, nice to meet you. Who are you? He said, when did you figure out? The shower? And she says, no, when you looked at my leg in the car.
Sure.
Which happens chronologically much earlier than that. So he thinks like the penis was the giveaway. And then she's like, no.
Okay, there you go. I'm glad we discussed this.
Maybe it's just a look of appreciation.
Important question for the room. If you had to be the doppelganger for any role in our society, what would it be? You're the guy they call. They're like, you look just like this guy or gal.
Oh, so who do I look most like?
So like Nevada Gaming Commissioner?
Yeah, that's a great example, David. Yes.
Oh,
that seems fun.
If they were like, I think I would want to be like Kyle Shanahan.
Right, head coach of the San Francisco 49ers.
Just I would want to be a guy who got to call plays on Sunday.
Okay, you want to be an OC for a D2 college football team.
It doesn't have to be. I think I could handle Power 5.
Okay.
I'm so stressed out because I know there are a million things that I've said I would be perfect at, and like it's the opportunity is too great right now. Okay, let me think.
What about you?
Host of The Big Picture is probably I hope one day.
Do you think that do you think our listeners ever wonder if you have been replaced by a
I think they think it frequently. Yeah. I think my alien quality is emanating through the airwaves. Guys, any thoughts? Jobs you'd like to have?
You pose that question, my mind immediately goes to Paul Rudd. If we're saying by transitive property, I get to then look like Paul Rudd.
No.
Right.
That's not the game.
You're saying the job.
The job.
I still kind of want his career,
Ant-Man.
though. Yeah.
You want to just be Ant-Man?
Ant-Man is a good job.
I'd be a better bug superhero.
Ant-Man does seem good to be at this point. That it's like, if he shows up in an Avengers movie, people will be really happy.
Yeah.
Like, that's how dire things have gotten.
Yeah.
People will be like, oh, it's you.
Yeah. People disliked his movie. He's still maybe number 3 on the power position list.
You are really just. I've not seen this level of pause.
It's like I do actually think
the hair twirling has begun.
I mean, there are obviously like a million morons in charge of things where I'm just like, no, just like let me make the decisions for you. Like it's not that hard.
Yeah.
And you're making the wrong ones. But then there's also a part of me that's like, oh, but I just like be really good at like, like being really rich. So that's another thing where I'm like, do I want to like save the world or do I just like want to be Ina Garten? I would be really good at that.
Right. She's a person.
Ina Garten's good.
She doesn't have a role.
She does have a job. She has 2 houses in East Hampton, one where she lives and then one where
you just want her life.
You want possessions.
Yeah. I'm saying like I think I could actually call plays.
She throws dinner parties.
I just want something.
And it's like a good hang.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I could do
I want to know a lot of
things.
secrets, but not have to do much about it. You know what I mean?
Oh, like
I want
CIA historian.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
where I get like all the access.
Yeah, in-house blogger for the Central Intelligence Agency. Being like, you guys will never believe what I found in the archive today. But don't share this on Twitter.
Yeah, can I be like cigarette smoking man from the X-Files? Like that's a real job, right? Someone is that.
A real job. Okay, we can move on. Who has the 4th pick?
I do.
Chris has the 4th pick.
I'm going to go with Oscar nominee, and I'm going to take President Merkin Muffley from Doctor Strangelove.
Oh, great pick.
Okay, good one.
Dimitri. Dimitri.
Now, this puts a real dent in the comedy category.
It does.
Which is where I thought.
But I took it an Oscar.
You did.
Yeah.
You
I think
did.
that there's some. I think I'm going to get my. I think I hopefully will get my comedy on the comeback here.
Okay.
But obviously, this is an ensemble piece, but Sellers was nominated for Best Actor. I can't remember. Was he nominated for Best Actor for this specific role?
He
the
was.
film?
All three.
He was
all
just
three.
nominated
It
for
was
his
like-
performance.
Okay. Well, he deserved it. He should have won probably. I don't know what won in 1965, but what an incredible performance, and very funny to just watch him be this really ineffectual, bookish chief executive in the world.
He lost to Rex Harrison for My Fair Lady.
Oh, wow.
Really cool stuff. By the way, speaking of, I was thinking about why Kevin Kline wasn't nominated for Best Actor that year, but I'm happy to read you the nominees from that year. They include Tom Hanks, who won for Philadelphia, Daniel Day-Lewis in The Name of the Father, Lawrence Fishburne in What's Love Got to Do With It, Anthony Hopkins in The Remains of the Day, and Liam Neeson in Schindler's List.
Okay.
I would
It's a
suggest
strong
that's
five.
one of the best actor categories ever.
That's pretty good.
Better than
that's an
Rex
amazing
Harrison's class?
Not a big My Fair Lady guy.
He's
Okay.
not a big Audrey Hepburn
Are you a
guy.
big Dr. Strangelove guy?
Absolutely. I appeared on a 3-hour podcast with these two gentlemen talking about the film.
So that's my pick for Oscars.
Wow.
So
All
David's
right, I got two
two
picks. Two picks. I'm just taking my two big boys. This is easy. I want in drama, President James Marshall, Harrison Ford in Air Force One.
Yeah.
God damn it.
And I
David.
want in biopic, President Richard Milhouse Nixon, played by Anthony Hopkins in Oliver
Yeah.
Stone's masterpiece, Nixon. That is what I want. Biopic does get kind of thin, kind of fast in a weird way.
It does.
It does.
It
does.
felt a little top heavy, so I was kind of eyeing biopic with a little bit of fear. I don't know if that's silly of me.
Yeah, we have a real
Air Force
scarcity
One-
issue here. Yeah.
I mean,
Air
we have
Force
a
One was always
scarcity
my
of
first
good
pick.
movies or movies we've seen, but Air Force One is good. Can you do it? Can you do the? I think you can.
my plane.
That
There
was
we go.
pretty good.
Thank you. That was
It-
good.
Pretty good.
It's a movie. My wife has not seen like a lot of movies. And so I, especially in COVID when we just sat around watching movies all the time, I get to see like I got to watch her watch A Few Good Men and experience You Can't Handle the Truth, like which are words she knows.
Sure.
Get uttered like to her great surprise and like
Dude,
blast
DiCaprio
her
point
across
of
the
holy
room.
shit, that's what
Yes.
it is. Okay.
And in Air Force One, I think I did pump her. I was like, he has a really good kiss off line. They kind of nailed the kiss off line. And she was like, oh, okay. And then when he did it, like, it's just the greatest thing that's ever happened. I do think James Marshall might be a bad president. I will say this.
We know
Seems
nothing
kind of
of
like a
his
saber
platform.
rattler.
Well, that opening sequence of the film where he gives that speech and they were like, Mr. President, what the fuck were you thinking? You've just destabilized an entire region.
Yeah.
That's some tricky presidenting, I would say.
Hmm.
And it
Yeah,
comes home
he's
to roost.
He's possibly a little aggro. Right. It comes home to roost immediately in that Air Force One is hijacked by Russian separatists.
They don't like it.
But you know what? He takes control and he saves the day and he's Harrison Ford. And I just think there were so few movies where the actual selling point of the movie was we have this actor playing the president and all of America was like, one ticket, please.
Just saluted at the poster.
Like, when can I see that as many times as possible?
Wasn't this movie also designed for Clint in theory?
Oh,
That
is
makes
true?
sense.
Oh,
Yeah,
that does
which
make
like
sense.
it just doesn't have the same power. As much as like I guess Clint never played the president, but did so many president adjacent movies. Him on the poster wouldn't have felt as exciting as like, holy shit, Han Solo is president of the United States now.
We may need to
he
circle
has a-
back to Clint Eastwood in the White House later in this
Oh, sure.
draft.
Sure.
Oh yeah. So Air Force One, easy pick for me. Nixon is that's my favorite Oliver Stone film.
Wow,
Which
really?
I know it's a
Wow.
bit of a controversial pick, and it's a performance I adore. I feel it's not a well regarded movie in the same way as his big Oscar winners. It's this insane bloated epic. I think it was 3 hours before the director's cut, right?
Mhm.
It's like 3.5 with the director's cut, which includes Bob Hoskins as J. Edgar Hoover in a great insane scene. And it's a performance. It's one of my favorite kinds of performances where Hopkins is like, I'm just going to kind of do a thing and it's not really going to be an imitation. Sort of like I'll wear makeup and I'm also going to be Hopkins at the same time. And I'm just going to be play him as like a reptile. And it's just the best. I just love Nixon. I don't know. What do you guys think of Oliver Stone's Nixon?
I was just rewatching the Sam Waterston scene the other day where like he comes in and Sam Waterston's got his like racket bag and is like, I will not be conducting. He's the CIA head. He's like, I'm not gonna like spy on American citizens. It's like, God damn it.
It's Joan Allen really stays with me from this movie. And it's sort of like I can't watch any other Joan Allen movie without thinking of her as Pat.
Poor Joan Allen. I feel like she got like typecast as the pained wife because she was so good at it in the 90s.
Yeah.
And she couldn't escape.
I only think of her as Pamela Landy.
No, I know. But even there, she's like bringing she's
Jesus Christ.
If we ever did this film on the rewatchables,
Jesus Christ, that's Richard Nixon.
I think it would break the Dion Waiters scale because it is the murderer's row of murderer's row.
Woods as Haldeman? Get out of here.
Woods, J.T. Walsh, Paul Sorvino, Powers Booth, E.G. Marshall, David Paymer, David Hyde Pierce, Kevin Dunn, Saul Rubinek, Fivish Finkel, Tony
he's
Goldwyn. Just an incredible array of men who are very good at loudly announcing things.
And that's before you have like Ed Harris as Howard Hunt or the aforementioned Hoskins. Dan Hedaya is in this movie despite being an iconic Nixon. It might come back up. I don't know.
I forgot Edward Herman as Nelson Rockefeller. Just a crazy movie. Well, David, those are good picks.
Thank you.
And you've also kneecapped the cabinets from both of those movies.
Yeah.
Air Force One was dual
really
tap.
tough.
That's tough,
because
man.
I wanted to take Glenn Close off the table. She's amazing in that movie as the vice president, and I needed to get her out of there.
And just to be clear, we said chief of staff. Is that a cabinet position or is that just?
I don't think so. No,
right.
it's not.
All right.
Chief of staff is a cabinet position, even though it's a political appointee. It counts.
Wow.
Well, all cabinet members are political appointees, right?
Well, but he does not require Senate confirmation. I guess that's what I mean.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right. I was going to say, because none of them are elected. According to who?
Wikipedia.
Okay.
Look, they're never wrong.
I wanted to know. Okay.
All right, Christopher.
All right.
You got to pick.
I will be selecting Dwayne Elizondo, Mountain Dew, Herbert Camacho from Idiocracy.
Damn it.
Terry Crews. This isn't comedy.
Yeah.
We thought it was, and also shout out to Dax Shepard as was it Vice President Frito?
Frito.
Yeah.
Yep.
Frito.
He's good.
This movie less satirical by the year, but this is just a phenomenal performance from Terry Crews, and I needed a comedy here, so I'm glad I
feel
got
like
Idiocracy.
Early Terry Crews, right? Like that was kind of when he was starting out.
It's post linebacker Terry Tate commercial,
Yeah.
but pre-contemporary.
Pre-Brooklyn
Cruise era.
Nine-Nine.
Everybody hates Chris and all that.
Now, much like early presidents setting the precedent in terms of term length and such, this opens up a question I wanted to get to eventually. Does Chris also get President I Don't Know in this draft pick, or is he specifically choosing to just pull President Camacho? If you have a movie that has multiple presidents,
a good
I think
question.
you have to pick one.
I think you only get one.
You have to pick.
I'm picking
Okay.
President Camacho. Yeah,
Okay.
that's my president.
You don't want to say anything about your guy,
About who?
Luke Wilson?
Oh, Luke Wilson.
It could have been Harrison Ford.
It could have been. I mean, this is a classic Harrison
Force
Ford
2.
role.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
Definitely a
Um,
world he would feel comfortable in. The world of Mike Judge.
You know what? You laugh,
Mhm.
but at this point with Harrison Ford, who can say?
Well, he's about to be
Red Skull,
the
Red
president
Hulk.
and Red Hulk.
Yeah,
Not Red Skull.
we can't draft things that haven't come out yet, though, right?
No, we cannot.
Yeah.
And Red Skull, his run at the presidency was a big one, but he didn't quite get there. Hugo Weaving.
No, he didn't.
Unfortunately, didn't quite make
Yeah,
it.
he just
Didn't quite
the
make the turn.
undecided split against
What was
him.
his,
How are Red Hulk
organization?
and Green Hulk related?
They share.
His organi-
it's like a Dave Bill Mitchell situation, but you can tell if you look at their cocks.
All right. Well, that's good. I'm glad we got there already.
I started it.
Amanda, you have the next pick.
Yeah.
The Scarlet Witch sees them in the shower and is like, "Huh, Red Hulk packing."
The Scarlet Witch and Red Hulk banging
No.
in your fanfic of the forthcoming
Have you
Captain
not
America
seen my
movie?
Tumblr?
Red on red.
That's good. Okay, I'm just gonna go with my heart here instead of my head. and take the other president that I would be absolutely just not even mad, just sad if I couldn't have. So since I can't draft the West Wing, I will still be drafting Aaron Sorkin. And in comedy, I will take Michael Douglas as Andrew Shepard,
Oh,
the
interesting.
American president.
You call this a comedy?
Romantic comedy.
Yeah.
I call
You
this
know?
a comedy.
That's funny. I
Yeah.
thought when you were gearing up for that, you were going to say you were going to take Mitt Romney in the fantasy of Aaron
Sure.
Sorkin's bullshit
Yeah.
democracy movie.
This is the best that I got. And then we had a couple seasons of the West Wing, and then it all really went
Came
downhill.
apart.
Is it crazy that President Camacho seems more realistic than President Shepard at this
Yeah,
point?
he's like going door to door and we're gonna get the guns.
Yeah.
Like that is literally a pipe dream that will never happen.
So funny.
I've loved 2 women in my life.
Oh my God. It's so good. And she gets in trouble because she's like burns a flag
That's
at an
right.
ACLU. It's really, they're saving the environment at the Christmas party.
It's the rare nice guy Douglas. He so
Yeah.
rarely plays like
that's right.
a smooth, nice guy. He's
but
always
this was-
playing a
so
weird snake.
I saw this movie. This came out in 1995. And so I was 10 or 11 and I saw it in theaters 4 times with my dad. We loved it. But I
Yep.
think this was one of the first Michael Douglas movies that I saw. And so then I caught up and I was like, goodness gracious. Excuse me, Michael Douglas, Mr. President. Anyway, wonderful movie that does not pertain to real life in any way, but it's still great.
He just has to give one really good speech, and then
Yeah.
everyone's chill with everything.
But it's a really good speech.
Okay.
And he's a good dancer.
Oh yeah.
Andrew Shepard, the titular American president, is off the board. Griffin, you're up.
Okay. A lot of my strategy has gone to pieces
Hey, man.
in the last rotation of things. So I'm going to take one of my risky swings here, and if it is shot down by the panel, I will pivot. This is my line of questioning earlier. Am I allowed to draft in the category of Oscar nominee Alexander Payne's Election?
I think no.
No.
Because I
No.
thought about it as
No.
well. But
No.
Okay.
Alas. That is
What
not a
is she-
presidential election.
She's voted president of the school.
Right.
This is when I was asking about president of non-countries.
Sure.
Oh, I thought you were like talking about
Like Macron.
Well,
or
this is-
something,
Now,
yeah.
I was
I-
trying to throw
I-
you off my
I
scent.
believe there is a sequel to Election the novel, right? The Tom and isn't
Yes.
it about Tracy Flick running for office?
Correct.
But
And
not
they're
presidency.
saying they're going to make that as a film now.
Tracy Flick can't win is what it's
Yes.
called.
Right.
I have a pivot. I'm going to pivot. I'm going to, in the same category, in Oscar nominee draft being there, Jack Warden.
That's a great one.
Yeah, good one. President Bobby.
Yes.
You took it in Oscar nom?
Yes.
Yeah,
great pick.
Yes. That's where I'm placing it because I feel like that category is thinning out
It is. Yeah.
surprisingly fast.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, it's tough.
But just one of my favorite character actors, one of my favorite that guys, getting a huge bump from just being an actor I love sitting behind that desk in one of my favorite movies. But I also like that he is a man of the people. He listens to his citizens. He invests a lot of faith and power in a perhaps idiotic gardener and adjusts all of his policies by that. But he is kind of he is seen as a somewhat unifying force in the film, right? I think he's a fairly successful president.
I also just love Jack Warden.
That's my thing.
that
I'm mostly
face.
just drafting Jack Warden's face.
Well, it's a very good pick. That was the next pick at the top of my comedy category.
Oh boy. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
And now it's your turn for 2, right?
It's my turn for 2. Now there's some legendary figures still on the board here.
Yeah.
So I've still got some good options. I'm going to come away with some good movies.
So far, you have Oscar nominee. That's
And
it.
That's it. I had the first overall
Interesting.
pick. Now, obviously, biopic is looking a little bit thinner. This film is not a biography, but I'm going to take it anyway. I'm going to take President Thomas J. Whitmore in Independence Day, as portrayed
yeah.
by Bill Pullman.
That's what
In
I
what
was.
category?
That was going to be my next
Drama?
pick. So that's
Action?
good.
Okay,
Really?
yeah.
Yeah.
I thought for a second you were picking it in biopic, and I was like, I think you misunderstood Independence Day.
He's real, man.
Real to me.
Did I? When you get that job as the CIA's internal blogger, you'll be able to reveal
But
for us
that's
whether or
like-
not it is.
Yeah.
But that it just would indicate that Independence Day is a biopic of Thomas J. Whitmore, where in fact it's about an alien invasion and the
No, it's about a man who was a pilot who had some trauma, who needed to be put back in the position to win for his country.
Randy Quaid.
Well, yes, and also the president. No, I mean, someone just mentioned you have to give a great speech. Obviously, there's an incredible speech in this movie. A summer blockbuster from the 90s that holds
I mean,
up.
this was my next pick. Yeah. So
Amazing movie. And now I don't really know what to do.
Is he a good president? He nukes Houston. I'll just say it.
He's very impressionable.
Yes, one guy is like, should we just nuke him? And he's like, all right.
Nimziki really gets in his head.
Is that Rebhorn?
Yeah.
Yeah, Rebhorn is definitely working him like a speed bag.
Yeah.
But you know what? We came out on top.
And then Jeff Goldblum's like, what if we gave it a cold? And it's like, that's it? That you just went with this guy? This
Rebhorn
hungover dude?
Rebhorn's line delivery of, that's not entirely accurate when they're like, Area 51's not real is
Great
pretty
stuff.
killer.
Boy. If you guys want to vamp for just a moment, that would be greatly
I
appreciated.
was just vamping.
Yeah.
I know, that was good vamping, but I was trying to pay attention to you, but now I'll ignore you while
Right.
I look at what I should be trying to do.
Did Rebhorn ever play president?
He should have,
It
but
feels like he should have
I
ascended
feel-
to that
He
position
feels
on
like he
film.
could have been on 24 as a president.
Yes.
I think
I
his
just-
character from the game eventually ran for president.
I'm also looking
you
at
want Chinese food?
there's a great Wikipedia page list
Oh
of
my
actors
God.
who have played the president,
Oh,
and apparently it's quite extensive. Shout out
He
to this
plays
person.
He plays President Sign-Off
There we go.
in the Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle
There
movie.
you go.
Oh.
Look at
Well,
that.
don't burn my picks.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna take something in biopic just so I can clear this.
Okay.
And this is a movie that I like quite a bit that unfortunately did not make the Kevin Costner Hall of Fame. But I will be taking Bruce Greenwood
Damn.
as
Okay.
Yeah.
John F. Kennedy in 13 Days.
There goes another one off
You're
of my
disappointed with-
list.
yeah, you
It's-
wanted that
I
one.
wanted that too.
Now this is a darn good movie. This is
Okay.
just a
You should
sturdy
be
American
forced
political
to
thriller.
do the Kevin Costner accent for the rest of this pod.
So I called Bobby.
God damn it, Jack! The Cubans?
He's actually not allowed to go to Cape Cod after that
Went
movie
there,
came
there
out.
pigs there. And we said no more. We're gonna park that
It's
car.
like he saw
This is really
Mayor
good.
Quimby and nobody else. It was like, I think I
God
get it.
damn it, Sean.
Well, this category is a menace.
Yeah.
So we got to. I think I made a mistake going Oscar nominee so early. So anyway, I got to get that off the board. Good movie though. Very good movie. All right. Now we're back to Griffin. Chris is so bummed out. He's like, "What am I
Also,
going to
like
do?"
one of the rare good Kennedys.
Do you
I
mean
think it's
the performance
actual
of Kennedy?
man?
Yeah.
Yeah, the performance
Oh,
of
Bruce
John.
Greenwood.
Yeah, yeah,
Excellent.
yeah.
He's
A lot of
terrific,
reference-
yeah.
We don't need to.
Not a caricature at all.
And
Yeah.
it's important to note there are several classic representations or suggestions of a president, but they do not appear in a film. So, say JFK. I do not think JFK. You could say that that's a Kennedy.
Agreed.
Yeah.
There is no
Right.
Actually,
All the president's men. I don't feel like Nixon appears
No,
in the
it's
film.
all voices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there's a vantage point from which you could argue that any film set in the United States of America past a certain point in
Yeah.
time
Right.
has a president, even if it isn't acknowledged. I could draft Toy Story and say that's a film about the Clinton administration.
That's true.
But I'm not going to do that. In the category of biopic, I am going to draft Secret Honor,
Okay.
the Robert Altman, Philip Baker Hall.
A loose biopic.
Yeah, well, look, we're all having fun here.
An imagined
And I'm
biopic.
choosing-
Yeah.
A cinematic monologue of self-immolation. Another example, much like Hopkins, of Philip Baker Hall giving an incredible performance
Right.
that is not too concerned with trying to impersonate a man. Who certainly there are so many examples of people playing Nixon on film that are often, even to this day, just some random dude slathered in makeup doing a Rich Little impression. And Philip Baker Hall is really kind of trying to invest in the idea of this dude as I feel like Hopkins always said that he viewed him as this like Shakespearean
Right.
sort of figure.
Right.
The idea of this man collapsing from the inside. I'm also realizing so far I'm basically only picking presidents who have made horrible decisions.
I'm about to add to that, so that's okay.
Great. Fantastic.
Well, I gotta go in biopic because I only have one option left that I thought of. There's been a run on it. And so in biopic, from a film that I and the rest of America very much respected, Oppenheimer, I will be taking Gary Oldman as Harry Truman.
You sly fox.
Thank you so much.
I thought about
There
it.
we go.
Didn't even occur to
There
me.
we
It's
go.
on my list.
Yeah. He's quite
He's
good.
good.
I almost want to hand you the handkerchief.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah. And him in that moment in that movie is very effective. You're just like, oh wait, that's Gary Oldman and he's going for it.
Did you
It's
read the
kinda when
story
the
about how
movie
he had like
turns.
1 day to shoot that sequence because he was in the middle of Slow Horses? He's been recently telling this. He was like, all right, Chris, fine, I'll do it, but I have 18 hours for you to portray Harry S. Truman, and then I have to go. Bit rude.
Slow Horses is good.
Slow Horses is
Yeah.
good. Oh,
Just
brother.
saying
So my turn?
Yeah. What do you have so far?
I have Oscar and comedy. I have Strangelove and Idiocracy. Well, I'd like to do something here that I may need a ruling for.
Okay.
I would like to take George W. Bush in Vice,
Yeah.
Sam Rockwell's performance, because
I also had that on the list.
I love
Oscar nominated.
him
And
in this
Yeah.
In what category?
biopic. I know it's a biopic of a
Aha.
different person.
Aha.
Oh, but we didn't.
Aha.
I think that's allowed.
But he is the president in,
in
the movie.
a biopic.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mhm.
I think
that
it
is
counts.
correct.
I think that is also Sly.
Because we did not previously negotiate it,
Yeah.
we have to allow it.
Okay.
yeah,
All right. Thank you.
that's good. He was also on my list, but I only had him an
Loved
Oscar
him,
nominee.
Loved him eating chicken while they negotiate basically Cheney
He
coming
does an
aboard.
amazing job of reminding you how he got elected president. Because we're like,
Yeah.
George W. Bush, he seems like a nice guy. He's kind of
Wait,
funny.
not to interrupt you guys, but isn't that what Amanda just did also with Oppenheimer in biopic as well? Or did you take that in a different category, Amanda?
Did you take that?
I took it in biopic.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
so
so
it's
it
a
is
bit
the same
different.
thing.
So the
Yeah,
president
yeah.
is
He's
the
the
same thing.
president
Yeah.
in a biopic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That,
Vice
I
is
don't
like, since it's
I
a
don't like that
biopic
movie.
of the vice president, I
Right,
see what
right.
Chris was doing, but it's totally
Vice.
legal.
I don't like Vice, but I think Rockwell is the best part of it, and it has the best handle on that.
I've always contended that Tyler Perry is the best part of it.
He's okay.
That he's in the fucking pocket in that movie.
He's pretty good.
Okay,
You could've
so
taken him.
2 to David.
Oh boy! Wow, things are going. We're
Yeah.
we're flying along.
We're getting we're running low on hardcore classics here.
Mhm.
So I got 2, and I have comedy open, and I have Oscar nominee open, and I have vice president open. Oh, that's a little scary. Okay.
Or
In
cabinet.
co-
And
or
you just
cabinet.
told us the chief of staff is a member of the cabinet. So
Mhm.
I think
That's
if chief
true.
of staff is a member of the cabinet, according to Wikipedia, then the director of the CIA, national intelligence, that really opens it up
No.
for you.
Yeah, I mean, those are
no.
administrative positions.
Why don't you look at Wikipedia? Excuse me, Mr. Dad, President Judge over there said that chief of staff.
I'm gonna open up Wikipedia
Okay.
myself.
I don't know if I don't really consider head of the CIA a cabinet position.
Talk to the editors.
Well, let's read from ObamaWhiteHouse.archives.gov.
Oh,
This is useful.
Yeah.
The tradition of the cabinet
Is
dates
it just
back
his
to
playlist from Spotify?
this is my favorite Kendrick Lamar song.
Phoebe Bridgers.
The tradition of the cabinet dates back to the beginnings of the presidency itself, established in Article 2, Section 2 of the Constitution, et cetera, et cetera. The cabinet includes the vice president and the heads of 15 executive departments, the secretaries of Agriculture, Commerce, Defense, Education, Energy, Health and Human Services, Homeland Security, Housing and Urban Development, Interior, Labor, State, Transportation, Treasury, and Veterans Affairs, as well as the Attorney General. Those are the only
Yeah,
roles
because
listed.
often you'll see a
Well,
CIA head.
alright.
Why are you yelling at me?
I think that
Now,
my
guess
voice is
what?
quite low.
Even though it was not in that description, in this list, White House Chief of Staff, Environmental Protection Agency Administrator is here, Council of Economic Affairs is here, United States Mission to the United Nations, Small Business Administration. Apparently, these are all eligible.
Yeah, of course,
I do not-
Obama.gov isn't going to be like, yeah, and then my homie, the director of the CIA. Like,
so
on,
you are
on
supposing
whitehouse.gov, CIA, director of the CIA is listed.
yeah.
Currently on
Wow.
whitehouse.gov.
what other roles are listed?
Director of the Office of Science and Technology Policy.
And there are a lot of great movies about
Is the
it.
Director of
director of
National
Treadstone listed
Intelligence.
there?
No, yeah, that's the point. Is you can't have the director of Treadstone be available for this draft,
The
right?
guy calling
Yeah,
plays
no,
for the
but-
49ers,
but
which
he's
is now
not-
Chris's job.
It would be
He's
funny if
not
the
on the
director of
books.
Treadstone forgot to take himself off the official White House site
Yeah.
while operating, and so he's like, "We've covered our tracks, except we do have a page on Obama.gov or whatever."
Well, we
Chief of
should've-
Staff, Secretary of Homeland Security is
This is
on
kind
here
of a mess.
too.
We should have said the secretaries that are acknowledged, and the VP? Because now we're getting into territory. Like the director of the CIA, that's a whole other.
I think this is going perfectly.
I think people are just reaching around for
When
crazy
Leon
stuff.
Panetta spoke at the DNC, you said what?
According to born.fandom.com.
You don't have a joke? Okay.
No, I just wanted to say it.
All right.
Okay.
I'm
you're up,
going to
David.
take. Look, I'm taking. This is a.
Mm.
All right. An Oscar nominee, I'm taking Primary Colors. I'm taking
Wow.
Yeah.
John Travolta's performance
Yeah.
as Jack Stanton, in quotes, in Primary Colors, which is kind of an underrated movie at this point. I think.
agree
think
with
people
you.
don't think about it
Yeah.
enough.
I always liked
Mike
it.
Nichols' film.
It got a little bit, I don't want to say pilloried, but it was pretty criticized in its time.
Yeah. I mean, it was just part of like the whole Clinton like pop
Mhm.
culture.
And you were the anonymous political
That
reporter
was
who wrote
me.
the
Yeah,
novel.
they did the analysis.
They studied your writing.
Exactly. You know.
Anonymous Dobbins.
Yeah. Emma Thompson, very good in this.
She is.
Yeah,
Great cast.
amazing
Kathy Bates,
performance.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kathy
Amazing
Bates.
cast? Yeah.
Billy Bob Thornton, amazing as
Billy Bob Thornton. Yeah.
but what's the guy's name?
Who's he playing? Carville?
Carville, James
Yeah,
Carville. I mean,
right.
he's playing Richard Jemmons.
Oh,
but
sure.
He's,
Yeah.
James
he's
Carville back in the news in my text messages every 8th hour.
Why?
'Cause
He's
always
texting you
texting
a
me
lot?
saying, "Sir,
Oh.
we need
So,
more money."
Who do you think? What do you think is the chain of commerce that led to you getting a?
I don't know
a
because I don't
Carville
give
text?
money to political candidates.
So I don't.
I
but
really
it's like,
don't know.
I get a lot from Kamala.
They
and,
don't need my fucking money. This is a scam, and everyone knows it.
And Tim, and I got also the really sassy text message being like, "We texted you," being like,
Yeah.
"Are you gonna respond to this poll?" And you didn't. So
Amanda, it's giving the end of democracy.
yeah. And so I'm
realizing.
assuming that's some of like my bullshit, like direct to consumer Instagram, like skincare purchases.
Kamala climbed down from the coconut tree.
Right.
When will you?
But like who leads you to
So these are the texts I'm
Are
getting.
you an
Who leads you to
undecided voter?
Carville?
Is it like,
is it like
I'm never getting notes from Republican
is it
candidates.
sports betting? Like what
I don't
like,
bet on sports either. I don't know.
is it like your athleisure purchases? Is
jcrew.com?
like
Like, I have no
Vori,
idea.
You know? Like it is probably
Guys, why am I
jcrew.com,
getting
right?
text messages from political candidates?
I don't know.
I don't know. I have successfully dodged it in my life, which I really appreciate.
Until
I
now,
know
AI is
I'm on a do
listening.
not call list. Yeah, until
I
AI gets
today,
me.
in the handful of hours before this record, received a combined 5 calls and text messages from people addressing me by my first name in response to a bark.com listing for a graphic design position. So this has now overtaken my paranoia
Oh, no.
Okay.
of the DNC having my number.
All right. So I took Primary Colors. In comedy, I'm taking Dick. I'm going all 90s.
wow.
it seems.
Oh, that's
Wow.
good.
Damn it, David.
That's really
God
good.
Double
damn it.
Nixon.
Double Nixon. I'm taking Andrew Fleming's wonderful,
Mhm.
kind of understated at times, and then other times completely over the top
Yeah.
comedy Dick, which has just another flavor of Nixon. Dan Hedaya going full bulldog cartoon,
Mhm.
absolutely hilarious, and just at the top of their game, Kiki Dunstan, Michelle Williams, and then Bruce McCullough and Will Ferrell as Woodward and Bernstein. I mean Bernstein and Woodward.
Really
You guys
special
So
could've-
stuff.
funny.
This could have been a smart strategic play in Cabinet. Have you picked in Cabinet yet?
Haven't picked in cabinet
Wow.
yet. I have
Wow.
a pick there. We'll see if I get it.
Okay.
I'm being a little careful.
Mhm.
I mean, we'll see.
okay.
But Dick's great, right? You're mad, Sean?
Sean's mad.
It was on my list.
Hell yeah.
Fun movie.
It was on my
underrated
list
movie.
as well.
Yeah.
It's great. I obviously
Yeah, great
worship that movie.
Comedy is a fascinating. There's still a lot of comedies on the
A ton
board,
of comedies.
but are
Yep.
they good comedies? Is really the question you got to ask.
That's the
yourself.
question.
Yeah. Okay, so Chris Ryan is up.
I think I could get double points here technically, but I'm, not, there's no such thing. But in Cabinet,
You could say that about literally anything.
Veep in Cabinet,
Uh-huh.
I'm taking Secretary of State Charlotte Field from the film
Yeah.
Long Shot, who ends the film
yeah.
as the president.
This was
Mhm.
literally the
This
person
was
at the
good.
top of my list.
Mine as well, but then I moved her to top of wild card. I think you did the wrong pick, but that's okay.
I have lots
Category.
of wild cards.
So do I.
Yeah, same.
But
This is good.
thank you. Her
That's kind of an underrated
negotiation
movie, too.
of a military crisis while rolling on Molly.
The three of us are huge fans
Yeah,
of this movie.
Loved it.
A bit of a bewildering, like, why did this die on the vine so hard kind of situation.
And similar to Dick, a movie that just like totally bombed at the box office,
Right.
and then it felt like within 6 months, people were like, "Why wasn't this a hit?" It got
Right.
reclaimed almost immediately.
It
But I
had
feel
that
like Long-
really early May spot Like, and it was
Yeah.
like pre-pandemic, but it was
It was
still
the
like
fall guy of its era.
Yeah,
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 the
it was.
South by premiere.
You know
yeah.
a lovely movie.
Have you seen the extended cut of Fall
No,
Guy?
but I did watch the ad for it with
Oh.
you at my house the other night.
Do you
so that
guys
was nice.
subscribe to Peacock?
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
100%.
Premium.
I do.
Love
Yeah.
Peacock.
Of course,
Kick
yeah.
those ads out of bed.
Lecoq
Yeah, don't
has
need 'em.
the really good
Lake
stuff.
Cock?
Lecoq. That's what I was calling it when it was the
Is
Olympics.
that like a
Can I
Royale
give
situation
Peacock
or?
It's flowers.
Yeah.
I feel like Peacock arguably does the best job of the like non-criterion streaming services
It has good movies.
curated playlists.
Yeah.
They'll do the groupings
Hmm.
Oh,
Interesting.
of sort of like Olympic movies or things like that. I like that. There's a hand. There's an authorial hand behind the desk.
There's
One
the
of the
show called
reasons-
The Office.
One of the reasons
You
I
guys
don't
ever
like
heard of
that is because that's what the job of this podcast,
Right,
not the
yeah.
job
Oh,
of
well,
the
sure.
streaming services. These corporations have enough. Leave something for us,
okay.
such as
Mhm.
making lists.
But
for
what if
movies.
Peacock came through and we're like, Sean, here's $2 million
Well,
a year?
then we're talking. I mean, this has been one long tryout for Lecoq, you know?
Oh my God. Is it my
Bringing
pick?
us back to the Dave
Are
conversation.
you
Oh, yeah.
Did
third?
you want to say anything about Charlie's?
I mentioned that she negotiates a military crisis while rolling on Molly.
That's
Mm.
is it a truly funny scene?
Yeah.
It's really, really genuinely good.
Seth
Great
Rogen
pick.
just amazingly charming in that movie.
Yeah.
She's great.
Yeah, totally.
Amanda, you're up.
Another feather in her cap. She allows a Todd McFarlane portrait to be hung up in the White House.
Oh, I had a question for you guys. Do you think she'll show up again in the MCU?
Oh yeah, because she was
Oh.
at the end of Doctor
Remember she's at
Strange.
the end of Doctor Strange
No,
2?
I never saw that.
Oh,
Oh
really?
my god.
Yeah.
I
Remember
completely
when we
forgot about
remember
that.
when we went to see Spider-Man and they showed the trailer and I was like, Rachel McAdams is in these movies?
So you haven't seen
Are they
the
gonna-
first Doctor Strange either?
No.
Okay.
Are they going to
Maybe
cross
I
her
saw
over with Harry
Strange 2,
Styles?
but not Strange 1.
Strange 2 had
I
like the
was gonna
body
say,
horror stuff. Like it
They
was kinda
should
like a
do
little
a
creepier.
Marvel movie of
Oh,
all the
no, I
characters
didn't
that
see
they
it.
abandoned from
Yeah.
Yeah.
extra credits.
That's probably going to be Deadpool 4.
Wait, you're just
I mean, let's be
describing
straight.
you're just describing a movie that's called Eternals 2 with like 2 extra characters.
They're
though.
gonna
I mean
make it
that's
Turtles too.
I am waiting for them to put one Eternals character into another movie just to take that risk, like to have Barry Keoghan show up.
Droog.
He's actually pretty good in that movie. I'm just going to say it.
That movie's good.
No,
movie's-
David, come on.
David and I
I
both
like that
kind
movie.
of like
Barry
that
knows
It's
movie.
like
what's
the
going on,
only
man.
good
That's why
Marvel
he's in
movie of-
the Peaky Blinders movie. He's like, I gotta get back to my source material.
I will not stand any Eternals is good discussion here on this podcast. Okay, guys.
Eternals low-key good.
Marvel Phase 4 underrated? Just
Oh my God.
start that up.
What did you think of Shang-Chi? Did you think that was an accurate
This is-
representation of
this is
dragon
it.
culture?
This is you're gonna go into labor right now.
Did you think
I thought I
they
was
gave
like,
Tony Long
hanging
his
in.
flowers, you know?
Yeah.
He was good.
He was good, but
Yeah.
no, the last set, like the last set piece with the
Mhm.
dragon was very confusing, and I
Did you
didn't like
see
it.
Destin Daniel Cretton was just named director of
Spider-Man 4,
Were you
which Tom
excited?
Holland will also be in.
But I
Yeah.
read that it's a prequel to Short Term 12 as well.
Okay.
Mm.
Oh, sure. Right.
So
So
Can I
short
make
term
my pick,
11.
But it's like
Please?
Captain Marvel started out
Just
as
go.
a woman. and
Okay.
is-
In drama, I'm gonna take a performance I didn't rewatch, to be perfectly honest. So I haven't seen this movie in 5 years, but I remember it being good. Anyway, Jeff Bridges as President Jackson Evans in The Contender.
Yeah. Very high on my
Barack
list as
Obama's
well.
favorite movie
Yes.
president. He
He-
will
That's
always
right.
say that in interviews.
He is so fucking good in that movie. It's
He's-
that fairly stupid movie. It's insane.
It is a pretty dumb movie, but he's charming and like mostly does the right thing, but is still a politician. And yeah, Griffin, to the Obama point, I was Googling that to make sure. That quote originally came from a 2008 Entertainment Weekly list
Mhm.
where it's like before the Barack Obama lists, there was this of him being like, these are my favorite movies and TV shows. So we've been dealing with this for almost 20 years now.
Amanda hates
Um,
Barack Obama curating.
Who, like, no, I don't mind it, but and I even thought it was cool that he had Charlie on there.
But when
then,
when he went on, I've
I-
had it. You were
which
like,
is a podcast I've never heard of, and Chris was like, "Oh yes, of course, I know the podcast. I've had it."
Mhm.
Because he keeps up with like all the blonde women just yelling into the
Nervy blondes. You have a brand. We know
Yeah.
it. We all know it.
and then
You would throw your life away for the hosts of I've Had It.
he just didn't sell the fact that he had ever heard the Charlie XCX album. I didn't believe him in that moment, and that was troubling for
You're
me.
saying a politician lied?
well,
Amanda,
if
is
he lied
Barack
about
Obama-
that, what else is he lying?
yeah.
about?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Never seen The
Is-
Contender.
Is Barack Obama to you what Peacock is to Sean, where you're angry that he's taking your job of curating the pop culture for the masses?
No, I don't. I guess maybe a little bit. I don't get as mad about it as I do about Hillary Clinton tweeting about Barbie and the popular vote. But it is like a little bit on the same thing of just like, we have problems, you know? And I need you to spend less time making lists and more time doing stuff.
I just want to say, Jeff Bridges in The Contender, his whole thing is he keeps ordering bizarre stuff from the White House cafeteria, including a
oatmeal
shark
raisin
sandwich.
cookies.
Such
Yeah.
a good bit.
Yeah.
And then the critical, dramatic moment of the movie is when they call and they say they don't have any Munster cheese. And that's like when everything falls apart in the movie. And it's really great.
Speaking, just a side tangent, but
Super movie.
Rod Lurie film, correct?
Yep.
Yes.
I was in a CBS pilot that Rod Lurie directed called The Surgeon General. That was a weekly CBS procedural starring Jason Isaacs as the Surgeon General.
I was hoping you were the titular Surgeon
me too.
General.
Would you believe
Well, that's
I
like
was?
a Doogie Howser thing where it's like, oh no, the Surgeon General is this like 20-year-old.
I was his nervous assistant who handed him paperwork and said, "Sir, the honeybees keep dying."
Question. Is
Yeah.
the Surgeon General in the cabinet?
If
the Attorney
No,
General
I think
is.
not.
I can't tell if you
That-
want this person because you want to draft them or you just want to expand our definition of the cabinet.
I'm learning.
Yeah.
You know?
like,
they
we've
are
got
not
some-
in the
Is
cabinet.
NHL Commissioner Rob Manfred,
It's like
Gary Bettman in
the Attorney General, yes. Surgeon
Yeah.
General, no.
Wow,
No, I think they
yeah.
appoint Surgeon General.
They do, but he's not in the cabinet.
he's not in the cabinet.
Okay.
He reports to the United States Assistant Secretary for Health. He's down on the totem pole.
Okay.
The pitch on this show was like, what if House was the Surgeon General? It was
Uh-huh.
this kind of ornery guy with a heart of gold secretly buried deep. And everyone thought it was a really hot pilot. And then they watched it and they realized, oh, if we pick this up to series, there has to be a national health crisis every week. This is not sustainable. For something to hit the Surgeon General's desk, it has to basically be a pandemic.
What does he do then? Does he do
mostly just tells you
surgeries?
to like go take a walk
No,
outside
stop
and stuff.
smoking.
Surgeon General
Yeah,
is
right.
he's like, we got to fix this problem.
He doesn't just
he's
like
like a
remove someone's
spokesman.
gallbladder just
No.
to kind of keep up with his
Oh,
skills.
keep his
They
like
just
stay
issue
sharp.
statements like smoking's bad for you.
Yeah, he hand writes a Surgeon General's warning on every pack of cigarettes. That's
Oh.
actually mostly what
Wow.
he does all day. He just writes it.
So, all right. So, Griffin, you are now up.
Mm-hmm. I had to do some serious pivoting and re-strategizing. VP and cabinet was the category I had the least figured out, and all my options were taken off the board. And after some extensive Googling, I've decided to draft U.S. Secretary of Defense John Keller from the 2007 Michael Bay film Transformers, as portrayed by John Voight.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
Absolutely amazing.
Thank
Incredible.
you. I'm really proud of myself. For
You are
pulling
the
this one.
best. That's awesome.
Now, would you
Thank
say that SecDef Keller has a standout scene in Transformers?
Is he pro-Transformer, anti-Transformer?
Well, he's pro-Autobot and anti-Decepticon, which, if you ask me, is the right stance to
Yeah,
have.
I agree.
He is.
Sounds like a
he's
progressive mind.
Yes. I mean, you're talking, this is a Secretary of Defense who boots on the ground, picks up a shotgun, goes into the Hoover Dam with Anthony Anderson
I have no memory
and
of
the
this
world's
movie.
hottest blonde
God,
Australian
I wish
scientist to take orders from
Transformers
Optimus.
were real so that I could be like the MAGA guy of Decepticons.
Bay is so fucking good. I can't believe
Yes.
it.
Yes.
Griffin, have you seen Transformers 1 yet?
I hear it's good.
No, I've heard good things.
I
Have you
liked
seen it?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Not only that, I've interviewed the director of the film.
My guy,
on this
Josh Cooley.
podcast.
Yeah,
Josh
That's
Cooley.
where they're
Academy
like
Award
living
winner, Josh
in on another planet, right?
Cybertron is the name of the planet. That's their home
Yes.
planet.
Yeah.
Yes.
These are robots that turn into cars.
I know.
They're robots in
Yeah.
disguise.
I saw the
Amanda.
one
That's right.
about JFK and the moon landing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Dark of
That's
the
called
Moon.
Dark of the
the,
Moon.
the Dark of the Moon.
yeah.
That's the best Transformers movie.
Yeah.
I still, I think the first is
That's probably
the
true.
purest. It's the purest shot.
Yeah.
From the Twisted Mind of Michael Bay.
Yeah.
A movie that basically I feel like shows only a W-coded president very briefly
Yeah.
in
sure.
like voiceover and a shot of his feet.
Mm-hmm.
So Jack Keller is the main representation of the U.S. government you get in the film. And he's active. He's hands-on. He has politics almost as good as John Voight's in real life.
Griffin, you bring up an
Um,
interesting little wrinkle here. I'm trying to remember it now, but like, what do we, do we consider films that are largely like 80s, 90s, and aughts action movies where a real president briefly appears in news footage, apparently
great question.
commenting on the action taking place in the film?
Oh.
Not eligible.
Your contacts.
Just curious.
yeah.
Contact. That was exactly
Right.
what
we
I was
didn't
thinking
talk about documentaries, though.
I
We
thought
did.
we
You
said they were eligible.
We did
Yeah.
in our
said they were
text chain,
eligible.
but not on the
Yeah.
podcast, right?
No one's made the movie yet, though.
Who is the president in Crimson Tide? That's what I want to know.
That would be
it'd be Clinton, right?
Yeah. It's Crimson Tide 93?
95.
95.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
You got 2 picks.
I do. In the rapidly dwindling category of comedy, I'm going to make a callback to a film I just talked about in the past future. And I'm going to take President Dale from Mars Attacks as
Yeah.
portrayed by
It was
Jack
my other
Nicholson.
pick in comedy.
There you go.
Yeah. Yep.
Now,
He's really funny.
I'm quite certain that President Dale is not a good president. I would
Quite
say
poor.
I
would
think
even
we have,
say
we
in
have evidence
Fennessey
of that
speak,
in the world of the
yes,
film.
his strategy in terms of engaging with these creatures not sound. And he
Would
paid
you say it was deterrence? What was it?
exploration,
Yeah.
perhaps leaning more science over war. Whereas my guy Rod Steiger, as the general in that
Yes.
film, he had the right idea, which was we had to kill. Just saw Mars Attacks, great movie. I'm a big
yeah,
fan,
very fun
rules.
huge fan. And Jack is very funny. He also has
Bless you.
another role as a casino developer. Who is he married to Annette Bening in the film?
He does
Correct.
two
Well,
roles.
maybe common law.
Yeah.
You haven't seen
Yeah.
Mars Attacks?
Not in a very long time.
Okay. Much maligned at the time, but I think very funny.
Perhaps
Parody
when it came
of
out, I think I
disaster
saw it.
movies.
Yeah.
Can I do my Mars Attacks rant, Griffin? Can I do it briefly?
Oh boy. Okay,
Can I
I
do
forget
it?
this. Yeah.
No, about the title, the above the line billing.
Oh sure.
The 5 names
This
above
isn't
the
a
title.
rant. This is a manifesto.
Jack Nicholson, Glenn Close, Annette Bening, Pierce Brosnan, who plays the scientist guy, and Danny DeVito. Danny DeVito's character in that movie does not have a name.
He's credited as rude gambler. It's one of our
Yes.
favorite things to talk about,
and
David.
yet he is one of the 5 people above the title in Mars Attacks, even though he plays a guy who shows up for 2 scenes as a rude gambler.
And there are equally big stars who have roles the same size as
Sarah
his.
Jessica Parker and Michael J. Fox.
Correct.
Martin
Well, Sarah
Short.
Jessica Parker, much larger role. I'm saying Michael J. Fox has a little more screen time than
Right.
DeVito, has a character name.
And Jim Brown
DeVito
and
got
Pam
in.
Grier are much bigger parts of
Jim
the
Brown
movie.
and Pam Grier, great examples.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jack Black,
Mhm.
he's in the film. Christina Applegate, she's in the film.
I will say I had considered drafting this, but specifically drafting Taffy Dale, Natalie Portman's character,
thought
his
about that.
daughter, who is sworn in at the very end of the
yeah.
That's
Oh.
right. Would have been a good call.
And says we should all be nice to each other or whatever.
film. Which,
right?
for me, that's a good stump speech.
Mhm.
That's the kind of policy I can believe.
Would you vote for Portman if she ran? She's legal age now.
To run for president,
Yeah.
you mean,
Yeah.
not anything else.
No,
Um,
not president of the PTA.
I don't know.
You would not.
Honestly,
You
I'm
would
not
not.
sure.
One day we'll do a Portman episode, and you will finally be free.
Will I? It's fine. She's won on Oscar. She didn't
On
win the
Oscar?
other one,
No.
right? I thought she might.
She's won so many Oscars from me personally.
I thought it was cool when she addressed all her divorce rumors by just like posting images from Heartbreak, the Nora.
Do you think Mila
Or
PA
Heart-
is down really
Heartburn.
bad, or is he
Heartburn, sorry.
crushing right now?
Oh, I think he's doing quite well.
He's out in the street.
Yeah.
Well, that was part of the problem.
Is she raising those children
is
by
that
herself?
he was in this.
Are they
He was in the
co-parenting?
Parisian streets. I'm not
Yeah,
really
I think
sure.
he's on point right now.
He's taking
Yeah,
care of things.
there we go.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I have another pick. I'm taking Benjamin Millepied. Okay. I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make a pick in VP or Cabinet from a movie that by this time I will have already talked about the best election movies on the Press Box podcast, but I was revisiting this recently for that. It's 1964's The Best Man, movie written by
Mhm.
Gore Vidal, about a race for president and Adlai Stevenson-esque former Secretary of State
Yeah.
named William Russell, as portrayed by Henry Fonda.
Okay.
This movie is now 60 years old. I think it is as smart and revealing about basically like the frail human psychology that goes into people who run for office, and also what the public demands of those people. And Fonda, who of course is the president in Failsafe, same year portraying this character who is more mercurial, more mysterious. There's this big secret about his past that is maybe preventing him from becoming the front runner in this race, opposite Cliff Robertson, who like seems like a real demon in the movie. Really great movie, and I guess a good Secretary of State. I honestly have no idea.
I've never seen this movie. I got to check it
No,
out.
It's
I've
very,
been
very
meaning
good.
to
It was
watch
on my list,
Yeah.
but I didn't get to it.
I also noticed that about 10 years later, Henry Fonda played the president yet again in a film called Meteor, about a meteor.
Yes,
Fuck.
yes. Is it an Irwin Allen style disaster movie?
Yes, I think it's not an Irwin Allen, but an Irwin Allen adjacent
Mhm.
film.
And it was nominated for Best Sound, so you can take it an Oscar nominee, Griff,
Wow.
if you really
Still-
want to.
still-
I already
still
picked
eligible.
Being There, but it was a squeaker between those two for me.
Okay, Griffin, you're up.
Okay. Look, the title was burned early on. I thought I was going to shock and bewilder everyone by picking it, but I've been left with no choice in the comedy category. I am going to draft President Abraham Lincoln from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Here's my argument. I think widely agreed upon as one of the best, if not the best, American presidents in history.
Mhm.
If we are investing into the Bill and Ted timeline, this is like a super Lincoln who not only accomplishes everything we know Lincoln to have done, but he gets to midterm step into the future, gain a wider perspective than any president has ever had, a notion of the ripple effects of his actions, and come back to his timeline wiser for it. And there's also a bravery to, I imagine someone has told him, hey, by the way, man,
Don't
when
go
you
to the
go back,
theater.
you're getting
Yeah.
shot. Yeah. And he knows what he has to do. He
Wow.
doesn't do anything dramatic enough that Bill and Ted wake up in a different world. There's no Back to the Future effect here.
Yeah.
There's a selflessness to this Lincoln who gives also one of the greatest monologues of all time, 7 minutes ago.
Man, Bill and Ted is funny.
It rules. It's the funniest premise for a movie ever. It gets funnier the more I think about it. I've said this too many times on Blank Check, but it is a movie I rented from the video store across the street, Couch Potato Video, watched it. My brother was having a sleepover. The second I finished the movie, I ran out and I said, guys, you got to watch this immediately, and watched it a second time with them.
Wow.
And during it, I convinced my brother that the guy who played Lincoln had won an Academy Award for his performance. And he believed it for a bit.
That's a beautiful origin story of how one grows up to be a weird movie podcaster.
Correct. Yeah, basically. That's the whole thing in a nutshell.
It'd be cool if DDL came out of retirement to play Lincoln in a Bill and Ted sequel.
Yes.
I personally am looking forward to Daniel Day-Lewis's like Redbox, like I make a movie every 6 months era.
Yeah. Daniel Day-Lewis is the killer's assistant.
He's just suddenly
Starring
like
Morgan
filming in
Freeman
Moldova.
and Frank Grillo.
He bought too many dinosaur skulls,
Yeah.
and now his
Right,
whole process is out the window. The guy just shows up, cue cards, hits his mark, says the line.
John Travolta's the killer, and Daniel Day-Lewis is his assistant. He's assisting in murder. Sorry.
It,
You have-
it
you
was
have a pick,
good. That was
Amanda.
good. It's nice when movie phone voice comes out. Okay. I have VP and cabinet and wild card left.
Okay.
So in VP and cabinet, I will take my original choice. Well, that's not true, actually. I think I was going to take Charlize in Long Shot and break the glass ceiling, but you did that for us, Chris. So thank you so much.
Thank you to women.
I'm an
as
ally.
well.
I'm an
you know,
ally. Yeah.
Exactly.
Women, yeah.
We're leading. So instead, I will take U.S. Secretary of the Treasury William Cleary, a.k.a. Christopher Walken from Wedding Crashers.
Wow.
Oh, that's great.
That's
Chaos.
fucking awesome.
Wow.
Which, to be fair, this movie came out in 2005. So you got to figure that he's the Secretary of the Treasury for the Bush administration, which is frankly not what you want.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And also,
That's the vibe.
I-
They're very fancy.
yeah, and also I can't really say that he's a good parent based on how 2 of his 3 children turn out in
Right.
the film.
Isla
he-
Fisher and Todd.
And he
Yeah.
wants to welcome Sack into his life.
Exactly.
You know, he's like,
Yeah.
Sack is the guy.
So in many ways, not my kind of guy.
But
But that house and that wedding are pretty awesome.
and obviously
So-
was not satifying his wife.
And
Sure.
but also
Yeah.
he locked down Jane Seymour. I
But
mean,
she's-
sure,
but
but
she's, like, getting Vince Vaughn to motorboat her.
but like
Yeah.
because she's Jane Seymour, you know, like
Right.
I think it's a good pick.
Thank you so much.
You're drafting less the politician, more the lifestyle.
It is a pretty good wedding.
yeah, you like
know?
the Chesapeake vibe. Yeah.
John McCain's in that film.
Yeah. And Carville.
And Carville. That's right.
Yeah.
He's back.
John McCain.
Do you think you'd want to be the Secretary of Treasury?
No, I don't think
That's
you'd want me on that wall.
Okay. Anybody? If you could have any cabinet position.
No.
I would do Secretary of State for sure.
Yeah, you get to
state.
travel. That's
Yeah.
kind of fun,
Okay.
but a little stressful.
what happens when things go
I
tits up
feel
with
like
North
my
Korea?
charm translates into any language.
Your charm translates
Yeah.
into any language. Is that what you tell all the ladies? Okay. Next up is Chris.
Is it me now?
Yes.
All right. Well, a lot of my long list has been taken up. So I'm going to go for drama, an underrated moment in a great film. And I'm selecting the unnamed president from Armageddon,
Mm.
who
Wow.
soothes a terrified world population.
I do like. I almost called out during the podcast when I saw you because I can't see your computer, and I saw you just Googling Armageddon President YouTube.
No, I
about, like,
wanted to.
45
I was
minutes ago.
Googling his speech because I remember every time being quite moved by his
Yep.
speech, that through all the tribulations that the world's people have gone through,
Mhm.
we've always had courage.
Little known fact about that character that in the original script his name was O.J. Simpson, and they changed it. They changed it to unnamed. Okay, cool. So you had the choice to take President Tom Beck from Deep Impact,
I did.
portrayed by Morgan
I
Freeman.
think that
a black
honestly, I
actor.
mean, the president in Armageddon empowered NASA to think outside the box and hire drillers to go to an asteroid.
Mhm.
I think
No
that's
asteroids land on planet Earth in Armageddon.
This
Yeah.
is true. It's a good
One
point.
lands in Deep Impact.
It's
One
very
to
fair
zero.
point.
Yeah,
Very
there you
fair.
and also
Yeah.
Morgan Freeman, God bless him, will show up in any war room, in any cabinet, in any movie you want.
So
him
are we sure this guy's gooding Morgan Freeman?
to. Just about his he seems a veil for every administration.
Let's see. Okay.
It was such a big deal at the time. Like, I remember the genuine sort of thrill of like, ooh, Morgan Freeman, but he faxed that performance in. Like, he doesn't do anything in Deep Impact.
Yeah.
No, it's
Gives
also
some speeches.
wild that the Has Fallen trilogy kind of coasts off of this as well, but the first two movies are he
Eckhart.
is not president,
Right.
but
No.
based on Eckhart getting in trouble, chain of succession, he becomes acting president.
Right.
The
President
first movie
Asher
he's
keeps getting kidnapped. Yeah.
right. The first movie he's Speaker of the House. The second movie he's moved up to vice president, but I think he isn't actually president until the third.
I think we need to circle back on you guys blaspheming Deep Impact, a movie that moved me to my
Is this
core.
the one that you
I like
guys
that
watched
movie.
on vacation
Yeah,
and
yeah.
started crying?
Yeah, where
Yeah.
the teenage amateur astronomer is portrayed by Elijah Wood,
What's
locates the meteor. This is an incredible movie.
What's the film where Hilary Swank and Aaron Eckhart have to drill into the center of the earth?
The Core,
The core.
Core.
an American
Of course.
masterpiece.
Is Alfre Woodard the president in that?
Let's find
I
out.
Alfred
just watched
Woodard's
this movie
in
6
it.
weeks ago, and I
Yeah.
can't remember who's the
She
president.
plays, no, she's like mission control at NASA.
Oh, she's mission control.
Not
Who
a
is
cabinet
that? Not a
I don't know
position.
that there is one.
Were I voting?
Because then you could pick Ed
Ed
Harris
Harris,
from Apollo
exactly.
13.
Yeah.
Do you guys
The
remember
best.
in Deep Impact when they put fucking Robert Duvall in space because he was like a
Yeah.
retired astronaut? That movie is crazy. He's like 70 years old in that movie. Would you, when you're 70, will you go to space?
I'm doing Shatner rules. Don't go until you're 90.
Yeah.
All right, David, you've got 2 picks. Are these your final
All right,
two?
I'm wrapping it up.
Yep.
All right. For VP and cabinet, okay. I am taking from the film Head of State, Mitch Gilliam,
Wow.
as played by Bernie Mac.
Oh my God.
A film people have basically forgotten. Chris
Mm-hmm.
Rock's Head of State.
Mhm.
Have you guys watched it? Any of you guys watched it recently?
No.
Bernie Mac's incredible.
I saw it
Bernie
in
Mac
theaters.
is
He's on fire.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
He comes in, he's only in the movie for like 15, 20 minutes,
but
maybe.
like above the title second build because
Correct.
he had so much heat at that
because
moment.
everything he says is funny.
Yes.
It's just flames over the base. It's incredible stuff. The movie, you watch it, it's so dated by like 1 year later.
Yes.
Like it's so off. Even forgetting that eventually Obama gets elected or whatever. But there's something about it that's kind of charming. That's how I feel about all Chris Rock movies, where I'm like, I wish this was really good. And instead it's like kind of an imitation of a good movie. But I'm picking Bernie Mac. I didn't know who else to pick there.
Quick story.
Yeah.
I just Googled head of state and was surprised to find Joe Biden was the return I got because he's the
Who?
head of,
Oh,
head of this
yeah.
nation.
Okay, sure.
I was hoping to get the movie. Did not get it. I had to Google head of state film.
Yeah.
Yeah, the SEO on that one was bad. That's
What's
true.
the best Chris Rock directed movie?
Top
I
5.
think it's Head of State.
Head of state, top 5, or I think I
That's-
Love My Wife.
Top 5.
He didn't
What?
direct the Saw movie.
No.
No, it just came from
Yeah.
the twisted
from the
mind
book
of Chris
Saw?
Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
he just
Spiral
conceived
from the
of
Book of Saw would be the worst movie he ever directed had he directed it.
it. Agreed.
I just don't like Top 5 that much.
I don't either. I guess it's I Think I Love My Wife by default for me.
It's definitely not. I Think I Love My Wife.
What's he
No
remaking
memory
now?
of I Think I Love My Wife.
It's a year. Last. What's the drinking movie? Another Round.
Another round.
He's
Yes.
remaking another round?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
It's not a good
Isn't
idea.
he also making an MLK movie or something? What's going on with
Yes.
that? Okay.
And he had written a remake of High and Low for Mike Nichols that seems to be stuck in development hell.
Well, because they're
Okay.
Spike Lee
also
took care of that
remaking
one,
High
yeah.
and Low elsewhere. Yeah.
Oh, right. Yes. But he loves remaking a highbrow Criterion Collection films.
He's got good taste,
He
if
does.
nothing else.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of picks here in Wild Card. I guess I can just mention a few of them after we're done, but I don't know. Because it's like,
Be bold.
well,
Be
do
best.
I want to take a good guy or a good movie, right? That's where it comes down.
Mm-hmm. That
I'm
is the
gonna take
eternal
Donald-
question.
I'm taking Donald Pleasance in Escape from New York.
God damn it. That was
Wow.
going to be my wild card. David.
That guy's crazy, but I kind of like him.
Great pick,
Good
man.
pick. I
Great
like that pick.
And that movie rocks. And I think when your character is literally just president of the United States, like I think that's all he is,
Yeah.
right? He doesn't even have a name.
No.
And just Pleasance is the president. He's just an absolute sort of like, over the top delight. I'm picking that
No,
over
he is
some
like
silly
a
other choices.
son
I
of a
had.
bitch.
Yeah, he's not very nice.
No.
It was between that and what? I'm
don't-
not going to say. I'm not going to say.
Okay.
For my wild card, really split here. It's down to 2.
Okay.
I think I'll go with Jonathan Pryce from G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra and also G.I. Joe Retaliation.
Although at some point he gets replaced.
by
You
right?
have to
Zartan.
pick one, and let's be clear: are you picking Zartan or Price as the real
This is
president?
incredible.
Griffin,
This was on my list as well, so I want clarity.
I'm so moved right now to be in the presence of people who would do things like this. I feel like I found my calling. You are the true Cobra Commander. There's no doubt about it in my mind.
Chris, break it down.
I just think it's like we have to acknowledge the fact that this is an amazing performance by Price,
Incredible
who doesn't get a president's name. He's got this really annoying kid that's really funny, and I can't remember which one that's in, who keeps trying to assassinate him with a Nerf gun. But at one point, he is taken over by a master, impressionist? I don't even know who.
Zartan.
What is Zartan's
Master of Disguise.
Master of
Yeah.
Disguise. And
Yeah.
Zartan takes over the role and kidnaps the president and takes it over and then launches nukes, right?
Sure.
Correct.
I think that's in
I never
Retaliation.
saw the sequel.
Quick Zartan question for you guys. Is that hair or like a headpiece?
headpiece.
It is. Are we
Hood.
sure?
Are you Googling
Yeah, the
Zartan?
G.I. Joe lore is heavy with hoods.
Okay. That seems
yeah,
like an
yes.
uncomfortable hood. Because it's
I mean,
not
the-
connected to a hoodie. It's
No,
just
well,
a
this
hood.
is another thing.
But it
Right.
doesn't cover his face. But he has eye
correct.
makeup on?
Yes.
I don't feel like we
There's-
nailed G.I. Joe. I feel like we could have done better with that work.
You want to bring it back?
Really, I think the
Well,
3 for
it's like,
3 so
if
far
I
in
was
live
like-
action.
It's like there's a lot of stars in it, and I just feel like we should have had something more out of that. But yeah, I'll go Jonathan Pryce, Rise of Cobra / Retaliation.
It is an incredible performance. The thing I find fascinating about it is Retaliation is this like almost complete reboot of the franchise
Yeah.
because the first one made money, but no one really liked it. And Price is really fun in it. And like the final sort of mic drop at the end of the movie is you realize, oh my God, Zartan has taken over Jonathan Pryce. He's now in the Oval Office.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second movie is like all new cast. Channing Tatum there by contractual obligation only. Price basically becomes second lead.
Yes.
And the whole movie is just like Price as evil president, also playing off himself as the real president held in captivity.
You're making me want to watch this.
He's
No, there's
great in
there's
it.
some scene, I can't remember which one it's in, where Zartan, as the president, launches a nuclear attack on like
Yeah, I believe that's
in front of
Retaliation.
all of like the other world leaders, and he's like, it's basically like, wouldn't it be crazy if I did this? And then stops it. But it's been a while since I've seen.
He also drops a bunch of Cobra flags down the front of the
Oh,
White
yeah,
House. He
that's
just
right.
lets people know.
And Biden is going to do that in the next couple of
Did
weeks.
you also see Snake Eyes?
No,
I saw Snake Eyes. I saw Snake
that's
Eyes
Joseph
in
Gordon-Levitt, right?
Well,
Well,
it's
in the first
it's Henry
one.
Golding.
Oh, Henry
is
Golding
in
is
that
Snake Eyes.
movie,
He's
yeah.
Ray Park was Snake Eyes in the first two movies. Joseph Gordon-Levitt was Cobra Commander.
That's right.
AKA the Doctor in the first film, but then it was replaced in the second film.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt was in the G.I. Joe movie.
Yeah.
Amanda, tonight, you and
Amanda's
Knox?
catatonic right now. We've been talking
Amanda, how you doing?
G.I. Joe for 5 minutes.
I'm honestly okay. So here's what's happening is that I have wild card left.
And you were going to go for Jonathan Pryce and Rise of Cobra.
And I know that I need to, like representation matters, right? So I gotta find a woman. And I have a couple candidates, but I was making sure that I didn't miss anyone. And then I was looking at this aforementioned Wikipedia page list of actors who have played president of the United States. And they break it out there, men and women. And then I saw that on television, Muffy from Arthur became the president. And then I had to figure out who Muffy was, which is not the sister, right? It's a friend.
Yeah, she's kind of the Peppermint Patty
Yeah.
Right.
She's got
of the Arthur universe.
Is Arthur the guy who's like
with
holding
the
his fist?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what I was trying to figure out while you were talking about G.I. Joe, which is whether the sister. Oh, DW is the sister. Excuse me.
Yes.
I'm so sorry. So
Yeah, DW is the I can't read that sign.
Yeah,
that
DW
sign doesn't bother me because I can't read.
Exactly.
Is that in Arthur too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
Arthur. There's a lot of Arthur memes.
I don't know
out
if
there.
you noticed from the G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra conversation, but this is
You're
a
like-
pod about cinema. We're talking about real shit here. We're talking about
Real
Zartan taking over the presidency.
That's really
Arthur's
true.
never leaped to the big screen. He's picture books and TV only. It doesn't count.
That's true. And obviously, if we were doing TV, then I would have a host of really admirable female presidents and vice presidents to choose from,
Like
including
President Allison Taylor from 24.
I was
Yeah.
going to say, or Selena Meyer,
Yeah.
or whoever Tony Goldfin, Melly from Scandal. Anyone with me?
Yeah.
She becomes president at some point, right? Yeah. Melly becomes president.
That's the thing with those long running shows where just eventually everyone gets to be the president at something. They just cycle them in and out.
Do you remember that season where Joey was the president?
Right.
Friends?
Yeah.
Claire Underwood obviously becomes president. Anyway.
Oh, yeah. That's
Yeah,
right.
see, this is what I'm saying. And then I don't know what happened with Madam Secretary, but that would have been eligible both for cabinet. And I think, does Madam Secretary become president?
Does Taylor only
think
become
so.
president?
Wasn't
I
there a
don't
Gina
know.
Davis
Gina
first
Davis,
female
was
president
commander in
show?
chief.
Commander,
That was a
yes.
Rod Lurie show.
Yeah.
Lurie.
But it would seem, according to this Wikipedia list, that at some point, Madam Secretary does, in fact, become President Elizabeth Adam McCord.
Wow.
Anyway, I'm going to take Meryl Streep and Don't Look Up. So
That was one of the fucking all-time vamps.
And you selected a demon who led us to ultimate destruction.
yes, well,
What do you think that movie is saying about electing a woman?
that we're all doomed no matter what. It was made in the post-Hillary gaze light, and I understand. And also I think Meryl would be good at being president. And also my other main option here, because he already took Charlize, was Uma Thurman in Red, White, and Blue, which is just a remarkable Texas accent if you haven't been a part of that process. But I really didn't like that movie, and they need to stop selling those guys to
But
me.
you did really like Don't Look Up, and specifically the president.
Meryl Streep made me laugh. So, and I think that Meryl should get to do. What do you want me to take Iron Lady? I can't explain Parliament.
I can.
Okay, go. Oh, that's right. I know
That's
you
right.
can.
Yeah. David was born. Yeah.
Yeah.
Terrible movie. I prefer Don't Look Up to The Iron Lady.
Yeah.
I'll say that much.
Do you like Vice or Don't Look Up more?
Those
I think
are
I
my
like Don't
two.
Look Up more.
I think I do too. I think it's a little bit more sincere.
Okay.
I
Don't
don't
Look Up actually affected me.
I greatly
Yeah.
prefer Don't Look Up.
Right,
I
yeah.
think it has stuff.
Yeah, Vice.
Yeah.
That
didn't
is
do much
funny.
for me.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful that he's going to do a broad comedy at some point.
It seems like on Twitter it's leaning in that direction.
Is that true?
No.
Yeah.
Okay, Griffin, you have a pick. Your last pick.
Okay. With my final pick in Wild Card, I will pick Bruce Greenwood as the president
Yep.
in National Treasure Book of Secrets.
Incredible
this is good.
performance.
Yeah.
Wow.
This
I thought
guy
about it.
can fucking hang. He is kidnapped into the secret tunnels, basically at flashlight point.
By Nicolas Cage
Yes.
in a really weird wig.
in a really weird wig.
I'm just talking about the hair he has in the movie. Not,
Yes,
no
sideburns, negative sideburns. It's like digging into the sides of his hair. And he goes from panic to like begrudging respect to full on whatever you need, my guy.
It's so good.
So quickly, this guy is a nerd for U.S. history. He loves that he's meeting someone else with the same brain as him. He gives it all up. He tells Nicolas Cage not just what he needs to know, but also, hey, maybe check out a couple other pages in that book while you're there.
In the Book of Secrets.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing sequel tee up that we never got for the third movie.
Yeah.
Bruce Greenwood played president, or, I mean, you already drafted him for 13 Days.
I did.
I feel like visually one of our best on-screen presidents.
Yes.
Just fits.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fits that fucking role.
And
Was
a
he
great
also
actor.
playing the president in Gerald's Game when he
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
handcuffed to the bed?
The president in a sticky situation.
Is he the head? No, he's the head of like the pilots union in flight. I thought he was the head of the FAA, which I was wondering
He's the
if that's
president
also
of planes.
Not a cabinet position, I don't think.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I've got the final pick of the draft. I thought long and hard about this. And this is sort of a nod to the past and the future. In wild card, I'll be selecting Secretary of State Thaddeus Ross.
Wow.
From Captain America Civil
because
War.
he becomes president.
And the Incredible Hulk.
You're saying that this
and
is
Avengers Infinity War and Avengers
You don't even want to pick
and Black
Robert
Widow.
Redford? You want to take William Hurt?
Robert Redford is a member of S.H.I.E.L.D., which
Yeah,
is not a
oh, you're
cabinet
right,
position.
you're right.
Oh, so
He's
he's
part
just
of
a
the-
senator?
He's part of the
Yeah.
deep state.
No, he's Hydra. We don't want that.
He's
Oh, but
Hydra.
he's not also a senator?
No, he
Gary
plays, he
Shandling's
plays
the
like
senator.
Gary
Oh,
Shandling is
okay.
the senator.
That
yeah.
that was a recurring confusing thing where a lot of times like people are senators in movies and it's like, well, actually you don't fit into anything.
Wait, so that was wild card, but not cabinet.
No, but we said we could put VP and cabinet positions in wildcard.
Okay.
And
I thought we said we could put candidates.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
oh,
Guys, let him have William Hurt. It's
But
a
he
bum
he's
becomes
just
pick.
gonna
president,
draft-
right?
I mean,
Robert Redford in the candidate then, isn't he?
No, I
he's
watched
not running
it last
for
night.
president.
Correct. He's only governor
He's
in that
running
film.
for
Oh.
governor. Yeah. I mean, The
Yeah.
Candidate is one of my
It's
favorite
great.
movies of all time, but it's not,
Yes.
not eligible for this. But we have our governor, or gubernatorial.
Sure.
I think that I'll
draft,
allow
yeah.
this because Thaddeus Ross becomes president.
I will as well.
But
Okay.
he's right. Thaddeus Ross in the future will transform 3 times
Right.
into Harrison Ford, into the president, into Red Hole.
Right. And then right. What happens, I believe what's going to happen in the movie is they tell him women can vote and then he turns into the Red Hulk. Right? What?
Would you vote for Red Hulk?
I don't know anything about Red Hulk. I
Okay.
didn't know there was a Red Hulk. I don't know
What if
why
he's super into like
why
opera
Harrison Ford
and-
is doing this.
and mid-century modern furniture? Who knows what he's
Super into what in Mr.
opera?
Oh,
you know, maybe
opera?
he's a sophisticate.
Sure.
Just because he's red, that doesn't make him a bad guy.
It was such a sign of Marvel just being like, I don't know, when just in the mid 2000s, they're like, what if there was like a Red Hulk?
Yeah.
Like, that was their whole pitch.
People went ballistic. They loved it.
Can I give
true.
you guys one factoid about Thaddeus Ross? This is one of the reasons why I wanted
Yeah.
to take him here. William Hurt, the late great actor who portrayed Thaddeus Ross in those earlier films, said he took inspiration for the character from Captain Ahab from the novel Moby Dick.
Yeah.
Mm.
He went on to play Ahab in the Moby Dick miniseries. So he's really kind of double Ahab.
And Ahab inspired Kevin Costner to make Horizon.
That's so they
Right.
say.
No, Chris, you get this wrong. He's not Ahab. He keeps repeating.
Oh, he keeps saying he's not, but I think
that
it
he is
loomed
not, in
large.
fact, Ahab.
It
My
loomed
I'm not
large
Ahab
in-
shirt.
Yeah.
Guys, we're running low on time, but I
Yes.
thought before we wrap up, we could very quickly throw out some wild cards.
I was looking for a spot for Nick Offerman from Civil War.
Sure.
I kept trying to
Sure.
make that joke. I mean, he might not be a good president.
Doesn't
Chris.
seem like
I'm not
it.
sure. I guess it's up
It
to
appears
us.
he made some mistakes. You weren't going to take him.
No, I thought about it.
Okay.
You winding up with Civil War and Oppenheimer would be pretty funny.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I liked the
I
first
just-
2 hours of Oppenheimer,
Yeah.
and I think that includes the hour in which Harry
Truman's in
Truman
it.
shows up.
We'll do a time check on that. Get
Okay.
back
I
to
think
you.
it's
I mean,
an
you
hour
could let me
too.
know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was really tempted by Kevin James and Pixels.
I was dead certain you were going to draft it.
I like the movie Pixels.
I think that is the least defensible part of the movie.
It is.
though.
It
Nick
makes no
Nolte and
sense. Why is he
Jefferson
the
in
president?
Paris?
Yeah, I thought about this.
I've never seen Jefferson in
Yeah.
Paris. I thought about rewatching it for this, and then I thought we were doing like decades, and I was like, well, I would never burn a 90s pick on that.
Bonjour, I'm in Paris.
I also,
I kind of want to check it out.
for Jefferson,
Yeah.
I was thinking you could go Daveed Diggs in as Thomas Jefferson / Lafayette in
I
Hamilton.
wondered whether
the
Hamilton was
musical,
eligible.
the film.
Is it a
That's
movie?
interesting.
Is that a
Hamilton, the
movie?
musical, the film.
Do you think it's
I've
a
never-
movie? We talked
I mean,
about it on this
I
movie
certainly
podcast.
didn't
No.
when I watched the movie version of it, but in the context of it was being, they released it as a film.
They did. On
Yeah,
the
but
Disney
it
Plus
doesn't
service.
It won Emmys, but was nominated for Golden Globes in film categories. All of this is
Okay.
shenanigans in my
Bad
eyes.
Yeah.
time. 2020. was
Gene
a bad
Hackman
time.
plays the president in Welcome to Mooseport, right?
Yes.
He does.
Former president.
And he plays the
So I thought about
Secretary
that.
of Defense in No Way Out.
He sure
Yes.
does.
He's also
Which
the
I-
president
yeah,
in
which I
With
thought
Absolute
about.
Power.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Also not the best guy.
Right. Again, that was sort of where I was like, I'm not going to really go that way.
There's a lot of murderous Gene Hackman. He is the
Yeah.
president in Absolute Power.
You know, somebody who I
Yep.
was hoping you might pick was Fletcher Cole from Pelican Brief.
I thought
Oh,
about
yeah.
it.
Mm.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he has an official. Is he just
Well,
like
no,
the
I-
right hand man, or is he chief
Well,
of
so
staff?
I didn't know he was chief of staff, and it does feel a little sacrilegious not to have Tony Goldwyn,
Yeah.
you know, as one of our great
Sure.
TV presidents. Actually, not great at all. I mean, that shit
seem
is
like a bad
like
He's
a
a
real
jerk.
mess.
Yeah.
He's that's toxic
Um,
masculinity.
Yeah.
It really is. Did you?
Thanks for
but
weighing
then,
in.
but then he's in a bunch of other things. You could also do like Robert Culp is the actual
Yeah.
president in Pelican Brief and
Mhm.
just like plays with a dog and looks pretty funny. I mean, you've got the double whammy of Michael Keaton in First Daughter and Mark Harmon in Chasing Liberty,
Mhm.
which I had in
Yeah, I
reserves.
finally watched First Daughter for the first time.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it before our Keaton Rushmore, and I caught up with it because it felt like double duty for
Man,
this
I
episode.
was pulling my hair out listening to the Keaton Rushmore, not for the Keaton part, for the
Yeah.
discussion of Mount Rushmore
I
part.
mean-
You
Okay.
guys were making some
That's
mistakes.
weird because the Reddit was chill about it. They all liked everything we
Also,
said.
guys, the Adams presidency, John Adams is one of our great statesmen. His presidency was a disaster. You guys were
So
too
then
nice
it's Johnny
to him.
Dangerous.
Dad has logged on.
Okay.
Hello, Dad.
He is a bad president in First Daughter, and I'd say an even worse father.
Yeah. I mean, Mark Harmon isn't doing much better. He loses his daughter, and then
Yes.
she gets to go to the parade in Berlin. Anyway, this
thought-
one's for Bobby. I didn't realize that the impact that George Clooney had in the Spy Kids universe.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
But
Oh, yeah.
apparently
Mhm.
he becomes president in Spy Kids 3D. So that's really
Game over.
powerful.
Yeah, he's huge. So
Can I
important.
throw in some laurels to Donald Moffat in Clear and Present Danger? You know,
Yeah,
You
that's a
don't
great
bark at
scene.
me like
Sure.
some junkyard dog. I'm president of the United States.
Do you prefer Aaron Eckhart as President Asher in Olympus Has Fallen, or Jamie Foxx as President Sawyer in White House Down?
I prefer
Sawyer.
White House Down.
I do as well.
Yeah.
That movie's fun.
Before we clarified the rules and I realized this was not kosher, I was considering drafting Lee Daniels the Butler in biopic and hoping that meant I got all the presidents.
Okay. That's good.
I thought I could win
That would've
quantity
been a
over
good
quality.
closeout. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other one I was considering was Elizabeth Mitchell in the Purge election year,
Yes.
who is
Oh.
elected president at the very end. And I want a president who can survive the Purge
Right.
long enough to get elected and shut the Purge
Yeah,
down.
maybe
Yeah.
get rid of the purge.
Yeah.
I thought about Tim Robbins in Austin Powers Spy Who Shagged Me, an
One of your favorite
iconic,
performances in the
iconic
history of
one
movies.
scene performance.
David
Suri-
has a trading card of Tim Robbins as the president in Spy Who Shagged Me on his desk in our office.
Sir, are you suggesting we blow up the moon? And his response is, would you miss it? It's really funny. Nobody mentioned Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. I guess because that movie's bad. I
Yeah,
haven't
I
seen
watched it last night and it eats farts. It's so
Yeah.
bad.
I do. I like Benjamin Walker though. We discussed this last week.
I like him too. He's charming. And then Edward Herman in Annie as FDR is still kind of the definitive FDR on
good.
screen.
I
Like
like
Bill
that.
Murray did not displace.
Yeah, I did have Hyde Park on Hudson on my long list. No one has yet mentioned the work of Gemma Redgrave, who is the
I
niece
was
of
about
Vanessa
to.
Redgrave.
Sure, in The Beekeeper
As President
Yeah, of
Jessica
course.
Danforth.
Oh, I have not seen the
AKA
Beekeeper.
I thought about
Trump
it.
Hillary.
But this was also drafting her or drafting Billy Bob Thornton as the president in Love Actually.
Mm.
I couldn't
Sure.
stand behind the actions, you know?
I have to
Yeah.
admit something. I feel deep shame for not
You
picking
fucked up on
President
Danforth.
Danforth.
Yeah.
What was her plan? It was to use her son's
She
cyber
was-
scam to fund
He
her
was
election
propping
campaign.
up her re-election campaign with his scamming.
That movie is sick. That movie is.
I gotta watch that movie.
movie is so honest about America. I can't believe it. It's the only movie that tells you the truth.
Should we recap our picks?
Yeah, let's recap very quickly. All right. I had the first pick, so I will recap. First, in drama, I had Thomas J. Whitmore portrayed by Bill Pullman in Independence Day. In comedy, I had President Dale, portrayed by Jack Nicholson in Mars Attacks. In biopic, I had John F. Kennedy as portrayed by Bruce Greenwood in 13 Days. In Oscar nominee, I had Daniel Day-Lewis portraying Abraham Lincoln in Lincoln. For VP and Cabinet, I had William Russell as portrayed by Henry Fonda in The Best Man. And in Wildcard, William Hurt, who played Thaddeus Ross, the Secretary of State in Captain America Civil War, and will soon be portrayed by Harrison Ford, and also as the Red Hulk in Captain America Brave New World.
Brave New World.
Did they clear that with the Huxley estate?
I don't know.
Nope.
Okay, they didn't.
I think that might have moved into public domain though. It's been a while.
I see.
Yeah.
The second pick was Griffin. What'd you get?
In drama, I picked Henry Fonda as President of the United States in Failsafe. In comedy, I picked an actor whose name I forgot to look up as Lincoln in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
His name, of course, is what's his
He won the
name?
Oscar for it. I'm already
Daniel
forgetting his name.
Day-Lewis.
Robert V. Barron.
Robert V. Barron. In biopic, I picked Philip Baker Hall as President Nixon, Secret Honor. I picked Jack Warden as President Bobby in Being There for Oscar nominee. Of course, John Voight as SecDef John Keller in the 2007 film Transformers for VP and Cabinet. And in Wildcard, I picked Bruce Greenwood as the President in National Treasure Book of Secrets.
A great man.
Okay, man.
And a great president.
In drama, I took President Jackson Evans, aka Jeff Bridges, in The Contender. In comedy, Andrew Shepard, as played by Michael Douglas in The American President. In biopic, I took Gary Oldman as Harry Truman in Oppenheimer, which is a biopic of a different person, but we decided counts. In Oscar nominee, Kevin Kline as acting President Dave in Dave. In VP and Cabinet, Secretary Cleary, aka Christopher Walken, in the 2005 film Wedding Crashers.
That was a wild one.
And
Truly wild card.
And Meryl Streep as the hope of women everywhere in Don't Look Up.
Chris Ryan?
In drama, I took the unnamed president in Armageddon. In comedy, I took President Camacho from Idiocracy. In biopic, I took Sam Rockwell as George W. Bush in the biopic about Dick Cheney called Vice.
And that was the third time you voted for Bush, right?
In Oscar nominee, I picked Peter Sellers playing the president in Dr. Strangelove. In VP and Cabinet, I snaked Charlotte Field, both the Secretary of State and then the president.
Speaking of snakes.
In Long Shot. And in Wild Card, I picked Jonathan Pryce / Zartan as the president in G.I. Joe Retaliation and G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra.
Hail Cobra.
Is that what they say?
Probably.
In drama, I took James Marshall in Air Force One, played by Harrison Ford. In comedy, I took Richard Nixon, played by Dan Hedaya in Dick. Hedaya?
I always thought it was Hideo.
Hedaya. In biopic, I took Richard Nixon, played by Anthony Hopkins in Nixon. I should have found a third movie called Richard. In Oscar nominee, I took John Travolta in Primary Colors as Bill Clinton, whatever he's called.
Jack Stanton.
There you go.
Richard V. Barron.
In VP and Cabinet, I took Mitch Gilliam as played by the great Bernie Mac, the late great Bernie Mac in Head of State. And in Wild Card, I took Donald Pleasance in Escape from New York. Wow.
I think we all did very well. David, you
And
mentioned...
I'm sure the country's doing well right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, I hope you guys are having a great day.
Do you think people should vote? Would you encourage them to vote?
If you guys made it this far and you haven't voted yet, I mean, I hope that just means you're still in line. So stay in line.
Yes.
Right.
That was the
Pokemon
idea
go
for
to
the
the
pod.
polls.
I thought
this
you
is
meant-
what you can consume while you wait to vote for RFK
You wanted people
Jr.
to vote in
Yeah.
the poll for who won this pod.
Oh,
But even if this pod, listening to this pod, encourages one person to get off the
That's-
couch and
that's
vote
true,
who
Griffin.
wasn't going to do it otherwise, then we've all done our job here today.
Thank you so much to Griffin Newman and David Sims, the wonderful hosts of the Blank Check podcast. Among many other things, Griffin is an actor. David is an incredible movie critic. Just what other stuff? A father? Griffin, what else
That's
are you?
true.
You're also many
I'm a
great
friend.
things. A friend?
I'd say,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, great
Yeah.
friend to all.
Yeah.
especially my friends.
Mm.
Yeah, and you've all been on the show on Blank Check, so everyone come listen to Sean and Amanda and Chris's episodes.
We're
and
doing
they'll all be
David Lynch
back.
right now, President of Weirdness.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
wow.
covering all of
The
his
chief
films and
executive.
TV.
He's the only man I would salute and appreciate his work. Guys, thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you to Jack Sanders for his work on this episode. Thanks so much to our producer, Bobby Wagner, for his work on this podcast. Given that this is election day and we are recording 2 months in the future, I have no idea what this next episode will be, but please stay tuned and listen to that episode when it comes out. See you then.